Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. Joe Donahue joins me on the mic this evening, Trey Shuttlesworth behind the scenes, Corey Rexford is on social media coverage, and my name is Noah Carmichael. This is PitStop TV's live coverage of the Bluegrass iRacing series. Thank you for tuning in across our multiple platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We join you tonight from the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the 10th round of the Bluegrass iRacing series. Tonight, these drivers look to do battle for 151 laps around the Magic Mile, as we are now 3 races away from the cutoff at Darlington to decide this year's playoff. After coming off an exciting finish at Atlanta 1 week ago, Tyler Johnson scores his first win of the season, and that shakes up the points a little bit, as John Kinder has still yet to find the win after coming oh so close 1 week ago. Let's take a live look at the point standings coming into tonight's race. As we wait for that, Joe, you got to be able to be a part of that and watch that. What was that like for you, and what do you think we can expect from these drivers here as they get set to do 151 laps around this very flat, challenging track?
Yeah, so last week at Atlanta, for those of us who were there and got to experience that race, it was a great event. There was a lot of really good racing, and everybody kept their nose clean for a long time. Atlanta's the type of track you have to drive against the track maybe more than other courses that you compete against the cars on track. You had to fight the course itself, and I thought that made some really exciting racing throughout the course of the event. But obviously, by the end of the event, some tempers flared and a little bit of emotion came out. Things got a little extracurricular at the end, so to speak. And obviously, we don't want that to carry over week to week. We want new races. We want fresh emotional resets, and we want everybody to come out and race each other fair. And I'm hoping we see that this week. But New Hampshire is, albeit as long as it races much more similar to a short track than the other mile-long tracks we experience in a season. So I'm wondering if the short track mentality is going to come out and if the emotions are going to get really strong here at New Hampshire. I think there's been a lot of practice from these drivers to be able to race the track, but once you set everybody loose together on the course, I think it's going to be driver versus driver, and I'm hoping that we keep it kind of clean. Everybody gets through it safely tonight.
Absolutely. Exactly what we love to see, just clean, hard-fought racing, but at a track like New Hampshire, which is known for being a track where drivers can pull off the bump and run, which has become a little bit of a short track driver's track to drive, like you said. It just has the same mentality. It's a very patient-driven racetrack. For a lot of drivers, not too many like coming here, but for a lot of fans, they like coming here because every time they come out here, it's an action-packed race to enjoy, and the finishes are always something memorable to want to watch. Brandon Robertson still comes in here with a points lead. He is tied with Alan Dobbs back this week after having to sit out at Atlanta. Matt Grenier comes in third, finally after getting his first win of the season here. Casey Barlow still holds on to fourth, with Justin Winters back there in fifth. It's still yet to get a win, but sitting very, very well in that playoff spot, even without a win, is the Mr. John Kinder, who still looks to get his first win of the season, but with where it stands right now, he won't even need one to be able to make it to the postseason. He's one of the few drivers in there that can actually just make it on points alone.
Yeah, absolutely, Noah. And with these last few races, obviously we don't have anywhere near enough races to be guaranteeing more than the top 10 into the playoffs with victories. So the points battle does become very crucial at this point now that we are getting close to the end. We've only got Watkins Glen and Darlington in our futures after this race to get to that point. So those guys that are fighting from, I'll say 10th to 16th, those are the people you're going to want to watch to make big moves and try to get really aggressive here tonight. Like you said, John Kinder has plenty of points, and as long as he finishes kind of consistently in these races, we shouldn't see any issues getting that number 21 car into the playoffs. Wyatt Brackett, Adam Lancaster, these guys have been pretty consistent over the course of the season. I wouldn't see too much trouble for them. Obviously, they got to show up and they got to race. Nonetheless, you got further down into guys like Ryan Kendall, Josh Abbey, Nick Mills. These guys are kind of on the cutoff because you can see the points are extremely tight from 14th up to 10th. Just three points separating those 5 cars. And then you look back, you've got a little bit of a gap down to where Bryce Hunter, Wes Wiggins, and Gary Jaworski are. But all those guys are definitely still need to be careful and need to be consistent make sure they can secure a spot in the playoffs. I think that's a really interesting part of this race that might show its head as we get through these 151 laps.
And you talk about the challenging part of it, trying to hold on to these points for the final few remaining races left in the regular season, with a lot of tracks that are going to be even more challenging just to keep yourself afloat, especially with how tight these points are. Tracks like Watkins Glen and Darlington, the next two races to decide this postseason. So you got a lot of drivers who are going to have to fight really, really hard, not only tonight, but for these next two races. And we'll probably have to see the best races out of them to try and beat one another to hold on to that top 16 spot. However, we will want to go in there and thank some of our partners that help us with allowing us to do these broadcasts. First, we want to give a shout out to some of our league sponsors this weekend with Rims One Wheels, Tires, and Accessories, and Milner Media Designs, two very long-running partners now with the Bluegrass iRacing series. Always great to see them on board supporting this series, with how much they do, especially with Rims One, with the big sponsorship they have with Adam Lancaster and John Kinder. We also want to thank our own partners here on PitStop TV, starting off with Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we will custom create a beautiful framed, high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information. Also, be sure to go to the checkout and use PitStop TV to receive 10% off your purchase. We also want to give a shout out to RacePace. Everyone wish you could have an engineer on speed dial. Well, now you can. Thanks to RacePace, a driver development service and setup shop all in one. Work with Tyler, a real-world race engineer, to set up your game for your next race. Pick up the pace with RacePace. I also want to give a shout out to Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine a call today to book a consultation. I also want to give a shout out to Whiplash Media, PitStop TV's new parent organization. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more information. And with that, we should have just about be in qualifying here for the Bluegrass iRacing series. John Kinder looking currently to be on the pole position for this race. Like we said, he's still waiting to get that first win, and right now it's looking like it could come here tonight at New Hampshire as he sits on top of the board with Casey Barlow on the outside pole position.
Yeah, I think if there's anybody coming into this race with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, it's definitely John Kinder. I know we talked at the end of Atlanta about the season he's had so far. He's had pretty consistent, good finishes. He's been in the podium a couple times, but he just hasn't cracked a win yet. And I know that last week he thought he had a really good chance to beat Tyler Johnson to the line and get that first win of the season. Obviously, that last lap didn't quite go the way he wanted it to or thought it should have gone. And he said that himself. He's, got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to do well. He wants to finally get a win, because even though he's in the playoffs and he's set there, winning is what they come out here every week to do. And John Kinder wants to win for himself, for his sponsors, and for his right to be competing at the top of the leaderboard with those other guys who already have wins this season.
Another driver you can mention, you talked about Tyler Johnson winning last week. He's currently 6th on the board. A winner from last season, so a familiar face here within the Bluegrass iRacing series. He's now back here, now having a win at Atlanta. Not exactly in a position to make the playoffs, but still just here to have fun, run some laps, and potentially steal a few wins from some of these seasoned veterans who've been running the full season. Other drivers up here and within the top 10, drivers like Ryan Kendall, we haven't seen much out of him since Vegas. He's still having some pretty good runs. He currently sits 3rd. And how about Michael Brissett, a guy who we see struggle week after week after week? He is currently sitting 9th here on the timing charts with about a minute left here in qualifying. And with the final remaining drivers still yet to go out, he's going to have a very strong starting position to start us off here tonight from New Hampshire, as he is just having an incredible night so far. Hopefully we see him keep that momentum up like we have seen drivers like Jack Bauer do here as of late.
Yeah, these last few weeks we have seen an occasional driver who you don't necessarily see up in the top 5 or top 10 that much coming up through the ranks. We saw Bryce Hunter, Jack Bauer. Last week we had seen Ryan Kendall up there for a while. Bryce Hunter got up there too. I think that we're starting to see sort of a pattern of a new guy coming up and really putting a lot of practice in and getting ready for an event, and then being able to run up at the front and compete for top 5, maybe even a podium. If it's Michael Brisson's turn, good on him. I'm excited to see that 71 car get up front. I know he's had a couple tough races. He's been involved in some accidents these last few weeks that, whether they were somebody else's fault or just the fault of being at the wrong place, wrong time. Obviously, Brisson wants to be successful. He wants to drive well against these guys, and he's going to come out this weekend and try to do it. I think with the clock ticking down and officially hitting 0, unless any of those guys at the bottom of the order didn't complete their 2 laps, Michael Brisson's going to be rolling off P9 potentially here.
And with that being said, let's take a look at your official starting lineup here for the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Starting on pole in the number 21 is Mr. John Kinder. Starting on his outside in the number 51 is Casey Barlow. Starting back in row number 2 is going to be the number 68 of Ryan Kendall. Alongside him on the outside is Matt Grenier, getting his win a couple weeks ago. Wyatt Brackett going to line up in P number 5. Last week's winner from Atlanta, Tyler Johnson, is going to line up 6. Starting back in the 7th position is going to be the number 3 of Alan Dobbs, still trying to get back on the horse. He's had a very strong run since his first win, but he's looking to keep that momentum rolling into the playoffs with points leader Brandon Robertson starting in P8. Rounding out your top 10, we talked about Michael Brisson, number 71, having a very strong night so far. Hopefully you can see him keep that momentum rolling. And then Nathan Maurer in a number 97 is going to line up 10th.
Looking back onto row number 6, the inside is going to be that 08 Toyota of Nicholas Noggle, and starting on his outside is going to be the number 9 Chevrolet Bryce Hunter. We take it back to row number 7 in the unlucky 13th starting position, David Brackett in the number 38. His outside, our buddy the Texan, in the number 5, Joshua Abbey. Rolling off 15th is going to be that number 96 machine of Dylan Butler this evening, and on his outside in the number 1 machine is the 16th starter Scott Fritz out of Pennsylvania. 17th starting position is going to be Justin Winters in that 52 car. Has had some ups and downs this season. Looking to take that car to the front tonight. His outside is going to be that number 48 machine of Jack Bauer. And rolling off in row number 10 on the inside, the number 83 of Chris LeBourgeois, and his outside will be the number 7 of Ronnie Sherman.
Outside of top 20, you're going to find number 91 of Ryan Smith with Tyler Reed lining up back in 22nd. Going back in the 23rd spot is number 28 of Adam Lancaster with the number 46 of Nick Mills lining up on his outside. Starting behind them in the 25th and 26th spot is going to be the 113 of Daniel Worthington. Alongside him, the 55 of CJ Mason. Starting back in P27, number 13 of Brian Terry. Alongside him, number 18 of Gary Jazorski. Then rounding out your top 30, looks like we only have 28 cars here starting tonight. So a little bit of ghosts back there in the rear end of the field. You see the pace car lights are off. 28 cars going to be starting here tonight up here north within the New England area. New Hampshire Motor Speedway always knowing how to bring the action here. And now we're going to see it happen once again on the Magic Mile as they come out of the final corner to approach that granite start finish line. Always remember that they have a granite start finish line with the track being called the Granite Stadium, much like the Brickyard, but now this time made it granite. As the pace car rolls off, green flag gonna wave. John Kinder gonna lead him to the line, and we are racing at New Hampshire.
Into turn number 1 this time, John Kinder slides up into first spot. Barlow and Grenier trying to look if they can go single file out of corner number 2. Barlow's got a nice run, and he's going to stay in reserved behind John Kinder out of turn number 2 that time. You got Grenier, Ryan Kendall, Tyler Johnson, your top 5 as they go into turn number 3 this first time.
Starting single file out once more. Casey Barlow holding on to second as John Kinder is going to lead the first lap here at New Hampshire. Ryan Kendall back there in 4th. Tyler Johnson moves up to 5th with Wyatt Brackett in 6th as Nicholas Nago promotes himself up to 9th as we complete lap number 1. As you see, Matt Grenier try to make the move onto the inside, but it looks like that 51 of Barlow is going to circle him up on the top side as he clears him off at turn number 2. Down the back straightaway they go as John Kinder opens up about a half a second car length going into turn number 3.
And those three cars at the front, they're running together as teammates, and they're going to be probably working together a little bit just to try to get this all squared away and be clean at the start of this event. Grenier did try to look down the inside of my apologies, Casey Barlow there as you're on board with Ryan Kendall, who's trying to hold on to these guys. Ryan Kendall had a really strong performance at Atlanta last time, trying to carry some momentum and progress himself forward in the point standings for the playoffs, has been doing a very successful job of such in the last few weeks, and he's looking to carry it forward right now, but for the moment, staying in behind Matt Grenier through 3 and 4 this time.
That's exactly what you want to do here in early going. Just kind of set the pace, distance yourself from the midfield, and then start to try to work your way through the field. So that's what we're going to see a lot of these drivers try to do, is just set the pace early, much like how John Kinder is, open up to about almost a second lead this early in the running. You see Tyler Johnson back there. Last week, started from Atlanta, we talked about running that Mark Martin throw back there. We've always seen him run here in the Bluegrass iRacing series, starting to reel in at number 68 of Ryan Kendall. Expect him to make moves here within the early goings of this race to possibly be himself up to 4th. As still out front is John Kinder, who is just running away here in early goings. As you see the number 96 of Dylan Butler coming back onto the racetrack in a Dollar General car. Looks like he had a little bit of issues as we stay green. Down the back ready to go. You just see the lead starting to grow there at the corner of your screen as the fight going on for the 4th spot still rages on, as Ryan Kendall is still just trying to hold on to what he can at 68 Ford Mustang.
Yeah, Tyler Johnson is one of those guys that isn't racing for championship points because he didn't race in the series full time here. So he just comes out every week to try to win races. And that's the kind of guy you got to be careful, especially when you are in the position that Ryan Kendall is, where he's just trying to fight for any points he can right now to stay in the hunt for the playoffs and continue forward with that. You're looking on your screen now at Brandon Robertson right in front of Alan Dobbs, the number 2 and 3 machines, 2 cars that have been very competitive all season long, with victories to both of their names. They're chasing down Wyatt Brackett for the exact moment, and they're barely separated between the two of them. So I'd be watching these 2 cars to try to slowly make their way up to the front. I think Brandon Robertson and Alan Dobbs are 2 of those guys in this field that are really good at having long-run cars and being able to run better at the end of the stint before everybody comes in and gets fresh tires and fills up on fuel. So the 2 and the 3 would be 2 cars that you could watch in the next 20 or so laps to see if they're going to be faster than the guys in front of them.
Arguably the top 2 drivers in the series is between Alan Dobbs and Brandon Robertson. Those 2 always find themselves fighting for wins week in and week out. And you're right, you're going to have to want to watch out for them to see them try to pick their way through the field. Because another thing you got to remember, the halfway stage break, which should be at about lap 75. So that's what these drivers are going to be racing towards, to try and get that stage win. As now down the back ready once again, Ryan Kendall still holding on to that 4th place position, as Tyler Johnson, like we said, early in the goings, you're going to start to find the rhythm that you want, find the pace that you're going to want to set, and that's where we're starting to see a lot of these drivers do. As you look further back in the field at Justin Winters, who's fighting off the number 5 of Joshua Abbey. Down the front straightaway they go. Abbey trying to get a little bit of a run going into turn number 1. He's not going to have it there. He's got to try and maybe back up this corner and get a better exit off of turn number 2 to try and get alongside him into 3, as this fight is for the 15th position, but he can't be too conservative because behind him is number 48 Jack Bauer, who we know if you give him the opportunity to pass you, he will quickly take that opportunity and make his way around you one way or another. So Joshua Abbey's got to be very careful trying to run around here because he wants to try and get around Justin Winters, who is such a staple in this series. He is known so well for being one of the top guys within the league. He currently finds himself outside the top 10, so any driver who gets a chance to pass him, I bet they will take that any chance they can get it. Now you see Nick Mills back there in 20th. He's going to try and cut under number 7 of Ronnie Shark Jr. They're going to go side by side towards turn number 3.
Yeah, like you said, Justin Winter is a staple of this series, but he's had an up and down season, as we actually have caution lights on the speedway here on lap 11. I believe timing and scoring is showing us a yellow, and that is the number 14 of Tyler Reed coming back onto the racetrack.
machine. Caution now, number 1 here on lap number 12. John Kinder having a very strong run here in the early goings. He holds on to the race's lead. Casey Barlow going to run there in second, with Matt Grenier back in third. Ryan Kendall in fourth, and Tyler Johnson are your top 5. As now we're going to have to see if we're going to have any early takers to pit road to maybe change things up here in the early goings.
Going off strategy is something that we've seen in this series time and time again, and it's something that does end up paying off every once in a while. I know I can think of a couple examples where that happened. John Kinder at Pocono last season was one that stands out in my mind, especially considering he's leading the field at the moment. But I don't think we had any takers this time on this caution, so we're going to see if anybody did come in the midst of the mid-pack. I think the end of the field's going to stay out too. It is very early in this event, and they're going to want to try to run as long as possible so that they can maximize the amount of time they get out of each run, save some tires, save some fuel, and try to run out longer stints, in especially the first stage, to get ready for the second one and have fresh tires at the end of the race as a backup.
5 sets of tires is what each of these drivers have under them within their arsenal to choose from. You gotta remember to also run the half field distance as well. Now you see the field quickly double fouled back up. John Kinder opting to take the outside line, something we're used to seeing within the real life. Then now for the first time we're going to see that here on iRacing. Kinder now going to be on the top. Barlow going to have to try and maybe pull a slide job into turn number 1 if he wants to try and take this lead. Pace car down in the way. All eyes on the number 21, rims 1 Ford Mustang as he enter the restart zone, and he is going to pound that loud pedal, and he's going to jump out to a very marginal gap as he runs away into turn number 1, as here comes Kendall trying to take over second.
Ryan Kendall took third off of the way that restart happened. Casey Barlow either got caught sleeping or John Kinder jumped him like a gun, and Ryan Kendall did initially have third place right there, but obviously Grenier gets back around him and takes back third spot. I'm waiting to see if Kendall's going to try to pull an over-under type move through 3 and 4 this time. It's not going to happen, but we're looking back at Wyatt Brackett and Tyler Johnson still looking side by side. You see that 3 machine of Alan Dobbs got around Brandon Robertson on that first lap of the restart. He's on the outside of Wyatt Brackett, just in behind Tyler Johnson through 1 and 2 this time. See if that number 3 car can make a pass on these 2 cars going side by side down the backstretch.
Dobbs now trying to get in a bit of a 3-wide fight here with Tyler Johnson and Alan Dobbs for what could be the 6th position as they enter through turns 3 and 4. On board now with that number 3 Chevrolet Camaro as they make the run off of 4. Brackett still able to hold on there to the inside, but you got to remember that is going to destroy those Goodyear E-Eagles as they make their way back down into turn number 1, trying to do whatever he can to hold on to position, but he's just trying to find a hole, but it's just not popping up because Dobbs is swallowing that hole up as fast as he can, and might have right here if he can get him into turn number 3, and if he can now hold on to that 6th position, but Dobbs is not going to let him have a chance as they dive it back down into turn number 3, and now Brackett is maybe going to start falling off the pace here a bit as the field is just going to circle up here on the top side.
I would think that Dobbs would be able to pull some momentum, and especially with the draft of the number 6 car in front of him, I wouldn't see it being that difficult to get around Brackett on the outside if you pin him down in the corners like that. Obviously, you're on board with Brandon Robertson. You can see that Dobbs has made that pass complete, and Wyatt Brackett slides in front of this 2 car as we ride down into turn number 3. I think Brandon Robertson is going to try to stay in behind him, and as I say that, he decides he wants to prove me wrong, looks to the outside, maybe trying for an over-under, got a little squiggly-wiggly down on the inside of turn 4's exit, stays in behind that 33 car.
Brandon Robertson holding on to the 8th position. He's going to try and make a look towards the inside, side by side now through turns number 1 and 2. Brackett a little bit high in the middle of the corner. That might benefit the number 2 as they make their way down the back straightaway. Brackett holding on, going to pull forward just a little bit, entering turn number 3 as Wyatt Brackett's going to hold on to that 7th position, but don't look too far behind him as his own dad, the number 38 of David Brackett, is currently in the 9th spot, and right now he could easily try and pick him off and take that position. But how about Adam Lancaster? He's picking his way to the field in that Ghostface Brewing Ford Mustang, currently fighting Nicholas Nagel there for the 10th spot. He's still holding on very, very strong, but man, that teammates of the 21 and the 28. We've always seen them work well together, but it seems like whatever the heck John Kinder's been doing is starting to rub off on the number 28 because he is tearing his way through this field here in the early pace.
Yeah, and he's keeping up with Nick Noggle. And I got to say, one of the guys that when we go to short tracks and tracks that race like short tracks that I look at every weekend is Nick Noggle. I think Nick's one of those guys who's very consistent and strong on the short tracks and knows how to race those types of courses really well. As I say that, he gets a little high up into Adam Lancaster, and they will go single file again. But I think if you can keep up and compete with Nick Noggle on a short track style course, that says something about your car and your driving that evening. I think Noggle's one to watch when we go to shorter, flatter tracks. And if Adam Lancaster can at least keep up with the '08 car at the beginning of this race, time will only tell, but I believe that's going to be strong showings for the 28 throughout the course of this event.
You're talking about Nicholas Noggle making contact there with Adam Lancaster. That's something we're used to seeing out of the OA. Well, he is one of the fastest. He's also one of the most aggressive drivers within this league. Still looking for the first win. Almost had it at Martinsville, if you remember, back late last season, but had the win stripped from him. He almost won the All-Star race, and after the season was over, we went to Bristol, had that in his hand, but was involved in a wreck late in the goings. So still looking for that first ever Bluegrass iRacing Series win. He currently holds on to the 10th position, as you see the number 28 of Adam Lancaster back there 11th is Bryce Hunter, number 9, not too far behind him. And look at Justin Winters now starting to make his name appear here within this fight, as he could make his way up into the top 10 very, very quickly as we now approach lap number 23.
Yeah, we're starting to see Winters come up to the back of Bryce Hunter right here. And Justin's one of those guys who brings a fan base with him into this series. We always see the people down in the YouTube chat rooting on Justin as we get through these races. We appreciate everybody tuning in and spending their evening with us to try to watch these guys compete out on track. Justin Winters is slowly making his way through the field. You see at the bottom of your screen, he started 17th, currently running 13th, trying to trek in on the 9 car right now. I think in the early stages like this, if you can just slowly pick off positions, that's the way you're going to get yourself to the front and be able to compete at the end of the event.
Absolutely. You got to mind these tires and just mind your P's and Q's, because with how this track runs, if you're way too aggressive, you can destroy these Goodyear tires very quickly, and then you're just trying to hang on as much as you can until you need to pit again. But that could be in a very long time. So again, it's just a very much a matter of keeping these tires alive. You do not want to drive through these tires and have to be on the back foot trying to chase this car around and trying to keep pace, because it just doesn't work. You're going to have so much speed loss on the corner exit just trying to keep up, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So again, this is very much a momentum racetrack. Once you get in that groove of being able to run consistent laps, you want to keep doing that over and over and over again. You see Ryan Kendall now very much close on the back bumper of Matt Grenier, as they're going to have a battle now for the 3rd spot going to turn number 3. He's going to try and peek to the inside, not going to have it. Grenier runs wide into turn number 3, and it looks like he will. Ryan Kendall might just clear him off of turn number 4, and he does promote that 68 car up to 3rd, as John Kinder's still running out here with a 1-second lead. But the fight's not over, as here comes Grenier trying to make a peek to the inside, but Kendall's going to close the door.
Yeah, you saw out of turn 2 that last time Matt Grenier got a little wiggly out of the corner and lost some momentum down the entirety of the backstretch. That allowed Ryan Kendall to poke his nose into turn number 3. And Grenier went way high through 3 and 4 last time, which was where Ryan Kendall made that pass stick. Into turn number 1 the last time, then Grenier tried to put his nose back underneath and slide back into 3rd spot. Didn't quite happen. Ryan Kendall has taken over the final podium position right now. There are not even 30 laps into this race, though, so it only has as much value as you put on it. But for the moment, the 68 car has the 15 in his mirror rather than out the front, and he can go try to trek down the number 51 of Casey Barlow in front of him.
That's going to be a very daunting task. You're talking about a second gap that is between Ryan Kendall and Casey Barlow, not to mention, to add to the fact, a very hungry Matt Grenier who wants to try and take that spot back. But if they make one small mistake, you look right behind him, and there is the Hounds just waiting to pounce and take over whatever spots they can. Drivers like Tyler Johnson, again, winning off the last week in Atlanta. Alan Dobbs looking to keep the momentum rolling to try and strengthen his championship fight going to the postseason. And then Wyatt Brackett and David Brackett, 2 drivers who would love to get their first win here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series, and in between them, a driver you can never, ever count out, the number 2 of Brandon Robertson, who can always find himself winning races whenever he can, or putting himself in a chance to do so. As you saw, Alan Dawes get a little high off of turn number 4, almost got into the wall. Doesn't look like he got any damage out of it. But man, if you're not careful, you make one small mistake, you can have all these very, very aggressive drivers making moves on you left and right. So you got to play your game very, very cleanly, or else you can find yourself falling back very quickly.
Yeah, these guys know how to take advantage of situations. I mean, multiple wins for all these guys behind him. Tyler Johnson, Alan Dobbs, Justin Winters, Brandon Robertson, they've all won multiple races in this Bluegrass iRacing series. They know how to get to the front, and they're going to pounce if they get the chance. So drivers like Matt Grenier, Ryan Kendall, those guys up front, they got to keep their P's and Q's in line. They got to make sure that they run their race. Don't get too intimidated, but just remember, and don't make any mistakes, because if you get fed to the Sharks, it's over. I mean, you're going to be behind them, and those are the kind of guys that you don't want to be behind, because it's tough to pass them.
Of it, turn number 4 they go now. Wyatt Brackett still holding on strongly to a 7th place spot. Brandon Robertson, we saw them. He tried to back up mid-corner and get the run on exit, but just couldn't do anything with it. He still holds on to the 8th spot. So you can see him there struggling just a little bit to try and move his way to the field, much like how Alan Dobbs and Ryan Kendall have been able to do here as of late. That leads us the Black Car Mafia number 33 machine. David Brackett kind of wearing an inverse colors of that of the black and purple machine, 2 spots behind them. But a very interesting paint scheme from these two, because I'm used to seeing these guys run the kind of Red Bull paint schemes that I'm used to seeing as of late, and I believe the Yingling car was another one that they ran a while, but now they're running their own little versions of paint schemes, which is always fun to see. A little bit of personality being thrown here in Bluegrass iRacing Series is seeing these own little paint schemes that drivers run each and every week. It's starting to pop up, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a team forming between those two, which we already knew these guys were teammates, but now to see them have a little bit of matching cars is really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one, Noah. These cars do look really slick, and they are teammates, and I mean, don't count out they also are father-son. I think that's a telltale relationship between the two of them, but obviously Wyatt and David want to beat each other and go out on track, and that's what you want to do. You want to beat your teammates, and I'm sure they have a little rivalry going between the two of them. For the moment, though, Wyatt's got the lead on him, and Nicholas Noggle's going to try to be a second car in between the two of them. Brandon Robertson holding on to the tail of the 33 car in front, and Nicholas Noggle down the inside through 3 and 4 might be able to take that spot from David Brackett. They go side by side down the front stretch, and not going to make that pass this time, but Nicholas Noggle going to dive to the bottom again, holds on to the quarter panel of the 38 machine, and out of turn number 2, maybe a little bit of momentum, going to keep the 08 side by side with David down the back straightaway. Oh, there goes Adam Lancaster into the grass, kept it off the wall, went a little airborne, gets back onto the track. We stay green.
The same mistake we saw out of Tyler Reed. Instead, he goes a little bit of dirt track. We stay green, as now we're 1 lap away from the halfway point here in the first stage. John Kinder still strongly holding on to that race with about a 1.5 seconds advantage over Casey Barlow, as Brandon Robertson now having to fend off Wyatt Brackett once again, who is starting to reel him in little by little, as you see Tyler Johnson now starting to fall back, but Alan Dobbs is starting to make his way to the field too. He's now up to 4th. We're seeing these drivers kind of set the pace and be patient, set the momentum. Alan Dobbs is done waiting. He has found the moment to attack, and he is going full bore, trying to catch up to the leaders and maybe trying to fight for this stage win here.
Yeah, Alan Dobbs trying to fight up through there right now. You see him in 4th spot on the charge to the number 68. That's the next car in his sights to fight up there with. And we're getting close to, like Noah said, we're getting past the halfway point of this first stage. So we're starting to hone in on what we could possibly see as the beginning of the pit cycle to try to make it so your car can get to the end of the first stage and then reset again at that stage break. But it'll be interesting to see what the pit strategy is for these guys once they get to that point, because the field's been spread out, and sparing that Tyler Reed incident where nobody pitted, we could very well see a stint of green flag pit stops with all of these guys so far apart. It will become important when you choose to come to pit road, when you come in, get the fuel, get the tires, and take that long investment of time to refresh your car and reset your car to get to the end of the stage. That's going to be something to watch as we start to trek more towards this halfway point and the end of this first stage.
Looking back now towards the fight for the top, for the 9th position. Actually, I forgot to add, like, as I had a little incident. That is how they fight for 9th. Nicholas Nagel holding on to 9th. Justin Winters back now promoted to 10th. So again, the charge through the field by Justin Winters is taking place. He has now found himself finally up in the top 10, now eyeing the number 08 Nicholas Noggle, which is always a very hard task to try and do to get around his number 08 Toyota. He's going to try and maybe back up the corner, get the run on corner exit. It looks like he might have him. They're going to go about door to door almost down the front straightaway into turn number 1. We're going to see if Winters might want to try the slide job approach as they make it right down to the 1. He's not going to be able to do it that time, but he looked like he could be setting him up for one here shortly.
Winters down to the bottom of Noggle. They almost touch out of turn number 2. They're side by side down the back stretch down into turn number 3. Noggle has some momentum, gets a little bit of a nose on Justin Winters. The Allen's Body Shop number 52 to the inside. Catches right back up, puts his nose in front, almost touching out of turn number 4 again. Noggle with some momentum, going to be holding it to the start-finish line that time. They complete the lap with the 08 car in front. Winters looks down to the bottom once more, staying side by side the whole way through it. Winters stays low, then he comes fading up a little bit, kind of gives a little bit of a scare if they're going to get close. Noggle gets the momentum off the top, and now they go back to single file.
Very close door-to-door racing between these two, which is always great to see. Now you see Noggle run wide in the middle of the corner. That is going to allow Winters to go back down to the bottom side. He is going to peek ahead now. He'll take that spot, and you're seeing on the bottom of your screen there, you saw the leaders now coming down pit road. The top 3 all came in. John Kinder, Casey Barlow, and Alan Dobbs, the big 3 drivers in this race so far, besides Ryan Kendall, now going to come down and make their first pit stops of the race, and that is going to kick off the first round of green flag stops to split this stage in half. So now the question is going to be, when will Ryan Kendall bring it in? As you see, the drivers are going to take 4 tires and fuel. You see Adam Lancaster at the top of your screen as well. He is in as they are off and away. As Dobbs might get the jump on Casey Barlow, he will not, as they complete their first pit stops here at New Hampshire.
Well, Dobbs was all over the tail of Casey Barlow out of the pits, and Ryan Kendall leads his way down into his pit stall. So the number 68 led his lap and comes down to get service on his Ford Mustang. Pulls into his box cleanly, no trouble for the 68 machine. A couple other guys coming into the pit lane. You're looking at Josh Abbey on screen, Michael Brisson coming into his pit stall as well there on your screen. So we're starting to see them cycle through. You've got Tyler Johnson down at the bottom of your screen. The 68 of Ryan Kendall pulls out, and Tyler Johnson just on his tail as they exit. But you see again, John Kinder, Alan Dobbs, who's gotten around Casey Barlow, they all very significantly passed Ryan Kendall as they went through those pit stops. So a little bit of an undercut in effect there as those top 3 cars that came in first are leading the way of those who already got the service.
And the driver you want to keep your eye on now is Brandon Robertson. He's very, very witty on the strategy that he can pull to try and put himself in positions. He now comes down pit road after leading a few laps. Nicholas Noggle going to follow him as well, as you see out the nose of Justin Winters, now out the nose of Brandon Robertson, and making the long drive down pit road towards his pit stall. As now, again, you're seeing a lot of these drivers as the timing of scoring, jumping everywhere, trying to keep up with these guys as the jockeying for position within the pits is now taking place. You see Jack Bauer coming in. You see Nicholas Noggle talking about Wyatt Brackett. You see Tyler Reed now, Chris LaBourgeois looking to come out of pit road right now. So just again, a lot of drivers now making their first pit stops as we now approach the end of it, as John Kinder is close to circling himself back into the lead, currently up to 7th.
Yeah, he did make that pass right there, and it looked really close between those 2 cars down the front stretch. Hopefully Kinder didn't get any damage off of that. You're looking at Wyatt Brackett leading himself into his pit stall on pit lane. He did get up to the front and lead some laps, so those will be bonus points that will be very crucial to Wyatt Brackett's efforts to get moving forward to the playoffs. He took that opportunity to get that bonus point, and so did a couple other guys. The leader right now is someone who's done that before. CJ Mason took that advantage and got that bonus point at Atlanta last week, and he's going to come around and do the same here. Nathan Maurer might have been waiting for an opportunity to do so with his own number 97 car. It didn't quite work out for him, as we actually have a yellow out on track, and we're going to have to wait and see if we can get some word on what happened to bring this caution out in the midst of the last cars coming through their pit stop cycle.
That's going to be a very interesting scenario for a lot of drivers who came down pit road and got stuck a lap down. CJ Mason now going to have to fall to the end of the lead lappers as we still await to possibly get a replay on what could have caused this second caution of the night here.
but I doubt it. You want to try to preserve the tires as long as you can in this race. But interesting strategy for CJ to get himself up to the front end of the field with that effort to only take 2 tires. And he did get a lap led, and he'll lead a few more here under yellow.
And in fact, he is going to come down pit road for for arguably will be the left side tires that he decided not to get. A very interesting strategy called very early in the race. First pit stop, and you're already talking about taking left or 2 tire stops here within your early goings. Looks like it's actually going to take the full 4 tires in fuel, which is even more interesting calls. Now he's going to have 3 sets of tires left on that right side. John Kenner now going to circle himself back up to the lead. Alan Dobbs does get the jump on Casey Barlow. He now finds himself in second. Casey Barlow now down to third. Ryan Kendall going to be in fourth, and Tyler Johnson up to fifth, as Matt Grenier, who was in fourth, now finds himself all the way back to sixth. And how about Adam Lancaster, who almost wrecked the car off of turn number 2? He followed back to 14th. He's now rebounded. He's up to 8th on this next restart.
Yeah, Adam Lancaster was one of those guys at the very beginning of this race that was leading a lot of the way up the field. He was actually the biggest mover at the initial start of this race. He's fought his way up into the top 10 now. That 28 machine slowly trekking up to his other teammates in his group, and we'll see if he can trek forward further when the green flag comes back out again. Adam's been very strong this season. He's had some ups and downs and had some bad luck on his side, but he's shown speed, and he's pretty comfortably one of the guys we're talking about staying in the points running to make it into the playoffs, just in 8th spot. So he's pretty safe. Obviously got to come out and keep running, but not too worried about the playoffs themselves, just worried about getting up to the front and getting some victories under his belt.
And the pace car lights are now going to turn off once again as they make their way down the back straightaway. John Kinder, as you can see up ahead, he has again elected to take the outside line, now having Alan Dobbs to his inside. We've seen him be so aggressive, not only on restarts, but just in this race as a late general, as we get closer and closer to that halfway stage break. So this should be a very entertaining restart, as now they circle their way around turns 3 and 4, wait for that Ford Mustang iRacing pace car to take the dive onto pit road. There it goes, as now we wait to see that white line that is the restart zone, as the green flag is going to wave. John Kinder again going to get the jump on the start, and he's going to clear Alan Dobbs entering into turn number 1, as Ryan Kendall again almost having a shot at taking second, as he might try and slot himself back down into the 3rd spot as they make their way off of turn number 2, as it looks like again we are under caution.
So we come off of that start, go through turns 1 and 2, and we've got the yellow back out. We'll see what they do about this. They might just be re-racking them, or actually, so that was timing and scoring, calling a yellow, and there was no yellow, I believe, because we got the green lights back on our timing and scoring here. So apologies for that, but we're still going green, and all the guys on track definitely knew it was still green. We're looking at Alan Dobbs, who made his way up into 2nd place there. Casey Barlow falls to 3rd. Brian Kendall back in 4th spot. He was running there for a little while earlier on in this event. There's a little bit of a slew going on further back behind them, as the main group in this top 5 have all single filed out. Tyler Johnson still showing his nose to Ryan Kendall right now, making sure he's aware that Valvoline Chevy is right behind him. Brandon Robertson holding on as well, just outside the top 5. They're staying single file, trying to trek through these first laps and get towards the end of the stage.
Now on these fresh tires once again, so the same strategy we see on the past 2 starts now. It's now just a game of getting in line, finding your rhythm, finding your strategy, and then just running with it and waiting until just the right time to try and pounce, like you saw Alan Dobbs do, to jump himself up from about the 5th spot up to 2nd. Now he's all over the back bumper of John Kinder as they make their way into turn number 1, about a half-second gap between the two. You look at the back rear end of Ryan Kendall, still holding on to a very hard fight with Tyler Johnson there for the 4th spot. He again, they're just having a really, really strong night, which is exactly what you want to do if you want a shot at making the playoffs here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series. And right now, that's exactly the kind of night he is having, as he is holding his own. And regardless of whether or not a top 5 can go a long way here in this playoffs as we approach the final 2 races of the regular season. And if he can hold on to this, it'd be a very, very great finish for number 68.
That would be a great finish. You're absolutely right, Noah. And he's been showing that throughout the last few races. He's slowly trekking up through the field. The start of the season wasn't quite where Ryan Kendall is right now, but Tyler Johnson gave me a little scare there coming off the wall through turn 2 there. Brandon Robertson looking if he can make a pass and get himself into the top 5 momentarily. I don't think it's going to happen there. Although out of the corner, he gets some momentum in the middle. Holds on. Tyler Johnson got some momentum off the top. Coming down the straightaway, 6 car stays in 5th spot. Brandon Robertson still holding on. You see the bottom of the screen. He had led a lap so far this race. Somebody who didn't lead a lap this race so far was Casey Barlow. And you see Ryan Kendall now on screen in 4th spot. Definitely one to be watching to continue forward for that. But we got a nice little shakeup and a little battle to stay in position with these couple cars right in your screen.
20 laps to go now here within the first half of this race. John Kinder still having led almost just about every lap of the race so far. Alan Dobbs now the next challenger in second, as Casey Barlow again still holding on strongly to third, with Ryan Kendall back there in fourth, Tyler Johnson fifth, Brandon Robertson 6th, Adam Lancaster going to be in 7th, with Nicholas Noggle 8th. Matt Grenier delegated all the way down into the 9th spot, and then Jack Bauer now the newcomer up there within the 10th and final stage point as they make their way off of turn number 4. Robertson going to try to take a peek down to the bottom, not going to be able to do it that time by as they run it down to the start-finish line. Tyler Johnson still holding on strongly to the 5th place spot as he's made his appearance again in the Bluegrass iRacing Series, which you've waited for quite a bit. He did the exact same thing last season where he showed up in the middle of the season and started winning races, and now he's just kind of playing spoiler for all of these playoff contenders trying to win a championship, because he's not in contention to win a championship, but he sure is in contention to steal a couple races. And now Casey Barlow going to try and steal back second from Alan Dobbs as he tried to take a peek down on the bottom side. Dobbs getting a little bit of a wiggle down the front straightaway as he's still going to prevail and clear the number 51 as they make their way back down to the turn number 1, as John Kinder actually ran a little bit wide into turns 1 and 2. We haven't really looked at him much throughout this race as he has just ran away with this race, but this fight for second is starting to heat up.
I'm really happy and surprised to see this right now. Alan Dobbs is one of those guys in this series when he makes the pass and he gets into position and he's got racetrack in front of him, he's pretty much gone. I mean, he's been showing that throughout the last couple weeks, and that if you have that 3-car in front of you, it's going to be a tough uphill battle to get back up to his tail and be able to make a pass. Casey Barlow right now showing that he's strutting that stuff and he can hang on to Alan Dobbs right now, which is really good to see and will hopefully ensue more racing as the night goes on. But you're looking behind them at a really close race. Tyler Johnson and Brandon Robertson getting a little colorful in behind Ryan Kendall, but Kendall's not off the hook. He's got plenty of pressure from that 6-car still. These guys are shaking things up relatively good for where we're at in this race. We're slowly trekking to the end of this first stage. All these guys are within the top 10, so these would be points-paying positions, and everybody's fighting for those points to try to win the regular season championship. The guy leading the way, though, is the guy in front of that regular season championship charge, and even though he hasn't won a race yet, John Kinder is showing why he's the championship leader by such a large margin over these guys who have had 1, even 2 wins this season. John Kinder is the car you're riding on board with. Out of turn number 4 again, you can see that almost second-long gap back to that number 3 of Alan Dobbs.
Just a very dominating performance here with Andy Goings, leading just about all 62 laps here of the race here in New Hampshire, as while everybody else has just been fighting for position, trying to hold on to where they are, John Kinder has been able to just run away with this thing as of right now. You just see just how big that gap is. Yeah, it's only a second, but when you compare it to just where everyone else is, where that entire screen, you're looking basically back from second all the way back to the 7th or 8th position. That's just how close this fight is. Now you see start to be strung out a little bit as Tyler Johnson now having to hold off again. Robertson, who has another hard charge, but not behind him, is Nicholas Noggle. Again, a guy who's so aggressive. If you give him the one chance to try and make that pass, he will do it. He gets a little bit of a wiggle off of turn number 2. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum in turn number 3, but he's going to be right back on the back bumper exiting turn number 4 as he is trying everything he can to get around that number 2 Chevrolet Camaro.
The way that these guys are all trained together is allowing Noggle to stay on them even with that little wiggle you saw. Brandon Robertson making the pass down the inside of Tyler Johnson into turn number 1. That number 2 car is going to break the top 5 momentarily at least before Tyler Johnson maybe gets in and some momentum puts him back in that spot. Nope, he's going to let Brandon Robertson have it, slides back in line, and is going to just try to trek forward from there. So move Brandon Robertson up 1 spot, still trying to chase Ryan Kendall, who's managed to keep those 2 hungry drivers behind him. Nick Noggle starting to put some pressure on. Matt Grenier in behind as well. So this whole train very close together, and it could get exciting at the final stages of this stage. With all these guys so close together, you might start seeing them push forward like you saw Nick Noggle in the middle of turn 2 right there or you see Casey Barlow on your screen still trying to get around the 3 car.
Back down to turn number 3, Casey Barlow again bringing the fight to Alan Dobbs over the back bumper of the Blue Lightning number 3 as they make their way off of 4, trying to get a little bit of a momentum run to bring him down to the turn 1. He is not able to do so. What he has to hope for is Alan Dobbs, which rarely ever happens, make a mistake heavy enough to force him to lose the momentum to get that corner exit that he needs to get the pass done. Now down the back straightaway once again, holding on strongly to that second spot as he's just trying to throw everything he can at him as we approach the final few remaining laps of this halfway break, as he's doing everything he can to try and get around him, but it's just not working because Alan Dobbs is able just to run away with that second place spot enough to where he can't do anything. As again, you're looking back as Tyler Johnson is doing everything he can to hold on to positions that he has. You're starting to see him slip off the pace a little bit. As now Nicholas Nuggle going to try and take a peek to the bottom side of turn number 2 for that 6th position, as now they're going to possibly go side by side. No, he's going to fall back in line, but he is, again, just reeling him in and is all over just waiting to make the move.
Yeah, I think Noggle knows that it's go time if he wants to start making positions up to get to the end of this stage in a better spot. You see a battle on your screen right now. Wyatt Brackett and Adam Lancaster side by side in behind Nick Mills, who's doing a pretty good job. He's holding on to 10th place right now, and that's a really good performance for that 46 machine. Bryce Hunter trying to get in there too. A little bit of contact between the 33 and the 9. The 2 Chevys make contact out of turn number 2. They go single file again, so it relaxes momentarily at least between these 3. Wyatt Brackett, Adam Lancaster, Bryce Hunter, the 3 cars you see on your screen right now, racing for 11th position on the track. And Justin Winters now catches up to the tail, and he is going to put his nose in this fight too.
Down the front straightaway this time by Adam Lancaster, still holding on to the 11th spot. It's the 12th spot. Bryce Hunter back to 13th. You saw the fight with the 46. That is for the final stage point within this top 10. So again, there's a lot on the line for these drivers. Again, they'll wiggle off of turn number 2. This turn 2 is catching off a lot of drivers here. We saw it happen to just about every driver going on board with. They get that little bit of a wheel spin on quarter exit of turn number 2, even sometimes out of 4. And now you're going to see Bryce Hunter going to try and get the run on corner exit to try and get around the number 28 Adam Lancaster. Not going to be able to do anything this time by, but he might just send it up the inside there for the position. He tried it, but it's just not going to work, and now he's going to fall back into the clutches just to Winters possibly. Oh, he's actually going to back up the corner, and now they're going to go side by side down the back straightaway for the 12th spot.
I was going to say, Noah, that number 9 machine is backing up the corners, and he is so much faster in the middle of the turn than Adam Lancaster. If he can just be patient and keep doing that a couple times, he'll get past the number 28 no problem as time wears out in this stage. The number 9, you see now he is officially scored in front of the 28, and through the next set of corners might be able to complete the pass entirely and get single file with the 28 car of Adam Lancaster again. Justin Winters to the bottom trying to follow the 9 through and get past the 28. David Brackett going to try to be shaking things up a little bit in this group too. Catch a couple extra positions here at the end of this first stage and set up the second stage a little better to trek on to the finish, try to get into the top 10, maybe even a top 5 for these guys. Whoa, Bryce Hunter wiggled off turn 4, slid it out. He was sideways coming out of the corner, holds on to it, gets the speed, and no trouble in for him.
Back down into turn number 1 they go once again. Justin Winters just slowly creeping his way to the field. Now back up there to the fight within the top 5 as Tyler Johnson again trying to hold off Nicholas Nagel, but is now starting to reel back in. That number 2 of Robertson for the 5th position is now within the final 5 laps of the halfway break. Looking now out the rear of the number 6 as that 08 is getting bigger and bigger lap by lap by lap. He's been able to get into a position where he can make the pass, which isn't able to do anything. He's going to try and make something happen on the outside. Now he's trying to make some things happen any way he can and any way he can get him as he makes the way off of turn number 2. But he's going to be able to open up a sizable distance to clear the number 08, as now he has his sights set on the number 2 once again, looking back up there to the fight for second. Again, not really much Casey Barlow can do. You see him there trying everything he can to try and get around the number 3 car, but it is just not working. And it's just I would say it's way too early to try and go out and pull a bump and run. But again, you never know when your stage points on the line here coming in this playoffs.
Yeah, and not only for stage points, but just to get yourself set up for the second stage, maybe even just for the bragging rights and the self-centered mentality of trying to pass your competitors and beat them to the line right now. Casey Barlow still holding on to a ton of pressure on Alan Dobbs as they come out of turn number 4 again. The 3 car, they stay single file that time, though. No trouble for him. Barlow's probably not within striking distance here, and he's going to dive it in to try to catch back up, but no trouble for the moment. They stay single file as the caution lights come out.
And that will wrap it up here for the first half of this race. John Kinder going to be your stage winner here at New Hampshire. He has led almost all 75 laps of tonight's event and is currently on the charge to possibly get his first win of the season and officially punch his ticket into the postseason. We're going to try and get an interview with him after the pit stops coming up, as now John Kinder going to have to catch up to the pace car. But again, just what a dominating performance by John Kinder. He has tried so hard to get a win here this season, had a very, very good shot at Atlanta before having the incident that really ruined the chances for him of getting it and handing it to Tyler Johnson. Now he comes in here to New Hampshire having to try and ride off that momentum, and now he is in a very good spot to try and redeem himself for that incident last week.
100% agree with you there. John Kinder absolutely showing he's got what it takes right now at the front of the field to keep carrying on and bring home his first victory of this season. He leads the way down the pit lane. Dobbs, Barlow, Kendall, they all come in behind the number 21 machine for the moment. We'll see what the strategy is to try to get out in front of a couple guys when the field finally reveals itself back to the racing surface. You see a couple of the earlier pit stall guys coming into their spots and stopping for their respective strategy calls and their tires and fuel. A couple guys stayed out on the racetrack. Joshua Abbey is one to be leading the race right now on timing and scoring. You're looking at the entire field. Nick Mills, the one at the very tail end coming out of the pits. Alan Dobbs. Oh, that was a race off pit road, wasn't it, between the 3 and the 21?
It looks like Alan Dobbs is going to get the jump on John Kinder exiting the pits, so that'll promote him up to second. And Joshua Abbey is going to be the only person to stay out on track and take no tires whatsoever to go jump up a few spots. He now finds himself into the lead. Michael Brisson staying out to get the possible wave around as he has fallen a lap down back there. You see on the bottom of your screen at 26th position, as now he is the last for lead lap, so he should have possibly got the lucky dog out of that scenario. But regardless, he will now be back on the lead lap as they make their way down the front straightaway as we again wait to possibly get a word with our stage winner as we get set here for the second half of the race.
Yeah, so we bring him in. John Kinder, this is Joe Donahue. Do you got a copy?
What's happening, Joe?
Well, John, we just watched you absolutely blisteringly win the first stage of this race. Looks like you got your car absolutely hooked up underneath you tonight.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. A little slow in the pits there, but we'll see what we have for the second half.
Is the strategy the same for you in the second half? You look like this car is just hooked up to run alone in the front. Is that what the game plan is? And what are you going to do about these cars in front of you now at this restart?
We still got a long way to go, so we're going to take care of our car and just run the pace that we need to run. See how the rest of this race plays out.
Absolutely. We've been getting a long green flag stint here. Hopefully it shapes up nicely for you. We're going to let you get back in the car and get ready for the green. Anybody you'd like to thank before we set you loose?
Yeah, absolutely. Rims One and Ghostface Brewery that coming on board and sponsoring us, and Bluegrass Series, you guys up there, all my teammates, they really help me be fast every week. So I really appreciate their help.
Absolutely, John. Well, good luck to you for the rest of this event. We're hoping to be talking to you later as we're getting ready to go back to green. Good luck, my friend.
All right, appreciate it, Joe.
And there you have John Kinder.
As now the field now coming off of turn number 2, it looks like Joshua Abbey has brought that number 5 down pit road, so he has stopped better of it. He has led the lap that he wants, so the all laps led award is not going to go to John Kinder, not a real award, but still a very big bragging right to do so. But now he has one lap led that is going to ruin the chances of that happening. Now down the back straightaway once again, the pace car lights do look to be off. Alan Dobbs is going to lead us to this restart after having an incredible pit stop under this last caution. He now finds himself in the go position as the pace car now rounding out of 4, going to take the dive back down the pit road as we again wait for the restart to get them across that starting line. And there they go, green flag back in the air, and they're going to go side by side as John Kinder was not sleeping on that start. He's going to be able to hold on to that position, and they make contact, and Alan Dobbs is going to go sideways. He's going to be able to save it, keep it off the wall, but that is going to cost him a ton of spots. And I was going to say this earlier, but those two do have history. John Kinder and Alan Dobbs have history from back at Martinsville a while back. I doubt that was intentional, but we are seeing some really, really old grudges being settled here in New Hampshire, and that is going to really, really hurt that number 3 car as he falls way outside the top 10.
I was surprised there. I don't think John did that on purpose. I feel like that was just him getting a little bit antsy into that first corner and obviously sliding up to where the number 3 car was. He got an excellent restart. That was a great restart by John Kinder. He really did what he had to stay up front and put pressure on the 3 car to get back up into.
Him there. So just a very, very rough racing incident, but you just see just how far back he fell. He's not even in the top 10 anymore. He is now having to fight John Kinder's teammate, Adam Lancaster, now for the 11th position, now getting ready to possibly take back the 10th spot. He is now going to have to climb his way back through the field, but you're going to have to watch out for that because now this man is going to be driving like a man possessed trying to get back up there to go fight John Kinder once again because he is not going to be happy whatsoever, regardless of what anyone says to him.
Yeah, I would say that the 3 car's got a chip on his shoulder now, too, and he's going to be trying to get back up there. And there's plenty of time left in this race. Don't worry about the amount of time Alan Dobbs needs to get back up to the front. We know Dobbs is fast, and we know he's consistent and persistent with that car, so I wouldn't expect the 3 to stay in the too far back for very long. You see him already trying to make a pass on Wyatt Brackett up at the top of your screen there. You're watching Brandon Robertson, who's making a trek up into 4th spot right now, and maybe trying to see if he can get around Ryan Kendall, too. He was gifted that 4th spot by Alan Dobbs, sliding way out of line there. Macroneer in behind him with Nick Noggle, who's been slowly trekking up, made his pass on Tyler Johnson, and is continuing to go forward from there. We could be seeing that 08 car up at the front in due time.
McInerney now holding on to that 5th spot. Nicholas Noggle back there in 6th as Alan Dobbs still stuck behind Wyatt Brackett in the 10th position. We saw him go side by side with him for a little bit, but has not been able to clear the pass as now the field has single filed their way out, and now we're going to start to see the rhythm be set back in. As now they make their way off of turn number 2, down the back shorty once again. The field has now, again, just single filed their way out. You're going to find the rhythm once again. Now we're going to start to see these drivers either slide jobs or just really wait lap after lap after lap and just set up the perfect pass to try and make a move. You see Grenier get a little tail happy within the middle of the corner. He does hold on to that 15 Ford Mustang and make a run back down into turn number 1. As again, Kenner now still holding the race lead. Hard charging Casey Barlow now right behind him.
I was going to say, I'm wondering about the setups of these cars and who's got cars set up to run really well on older tires and who's trying to make the most of what they have at the beginning of these runs. I think that's an important part of the strategy that could play into effect as we continue these green flag laps. The first stage went pretty smoothly, fairly clean. We only had a few incidents, small incidents at that, nothing too major. And as we trek forward through this race, we could see it go that way for longer, but we're getting towards the end of this race. And once you start trekking into the final couple laps, I think these guys are going to show aggression and we might see something come out. But for the time being, it's all green around. You're watching Justin Winters on your screen. That car is green, black and green, the Allen's Body Shop number 52, running just outside the top 10. Got that pass back from the number 3 car. And we see now David Brackett on Nathan Maurer. This is a fight for 13th spot, just a few positions behind. There, Bryce Hunter in 15th spot, trying to trek up through a little bit as well. He is fighting for points by points and trying to get his nose back into a spot where he can confirm a position in the playoffs as we have a yellow. Gary Jazorski sideways on the front straightaway, Noah.
And he's going to spin it again. It looks like that was about that joined this season, but has still just been a very big backer of the Bluegrass iRacing series. I believe he's actually on the hood of the 46 of Nick Mills, who has been having a strong night of his own. As you see, there is your top 5 high above the Magic Mile. John Kinder currently holding on to the race lead once again. Casey Barlow back in second. Brandon Robertson has promoted himself up to third. Ryan Kendall now to fourth, and Matt Grenier now back in the 5th position. So a lot of the same guys you saw for the initial start now holding on to their own top 5 starters to get ready to go back racing possibly next time by.
Yeah, so as they get themselves stacked up and ready to go, you see our partners here on the screen: Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media. Partners here at PitStop TV, we appreciate very much for coming on board with us throughout these events. Hopefully we put on a good show for them just as much as they put on a good performance in their own respective fields of jobs and services for all of you guys. Be sure to go check all of them out respectively. We'll talk more about them as the race goes on. But Noah, we're getting ready to go. They're double filing back up on the back straightaway, getting ready to go green again. And we're watching Kinder on the outside of Casey Barlow on road number 1.
The field now doubled up once again. Kinder again electing the outside line, which every leader has done on every single restart so far. Kendall now going to be back there in the 4th spot, going to see if he's able to get the exact same amount of momentum that he has been. Jack Bauer now making an appearance here within about the top 10. Now laying aside Tyler Johnson to the pace car, going to take the dive back down the pit road. Eyes on John Kinder, see if he can get that jump on the start, and he does. He's going to clear Casey Barlow, and once again, the same amount of momentum he gets on the start is going to take place, as now Casey Barlow going to field himself back there in the 2nd spot. As contact between Brandon Robertson and Matt Grenier going to take place as they quarter their way off of turn number 2, and almost contact between Nicholas Noggle and Tyler Johnson.
Johnson and Noggle close and closer. As they come down to turn 3, they finally separate a little bit. Noggle's trying to put it around the outside of Brandon Robertson, following Matt Grenier on the high line. Going to try to get that 08 car broken into the top 5 here as he comes on the run down the front stretch, side by side with Robertson, gets his nose clean, and that 08 car has broken into the top 5. Watch out for Nick Noggle as he tries to continue that momentum forward now to Matt Grenier and Ryan Kendall. Those 3 all fighting nose to tail for the 3rd spot.
Another driver to watch out for, Justin Winters, just slowly, quietly making his way through this field. He now finds himself hefty in the fight up here in the top 10. Now fighting with Brandon Robertson and Tyler Johnson down the front straightaway. They're going to go side by side there for the 7th position. And the turn number 1, Jack Bauer, again, also making his name appear within the top 10 quietly tonight. So, again, just the momentum we've seen a lot of these drivers have as of late is now starting to appear once again, as now Jack Bauer slowly climbing his way through the field. Same for Justin Winters, who we're used to seeing run up here within the top 10, now finding himself back up here as the fight for the 3rd spot starting to rage on. Matt Grenier might try and take back the 3rd spot from Ryan Kendall that he lost quite a bit ago and then's yet to recover from. Now all over the back bumper to 68. He almost gave him the bumper here in the quarter entry, as he's going to be all over him off turn number 2.
These 2 Fords fighting for the final spot on the podium right now as Nick Noggle's trying to slowly trek up. Tyler Johnson and Justin Winters in behind them. Those guys have been racing so close with each other. I'm getting scared every time they get closer. We're going to see a car spinning in the background, but they haven't done it yet, and hopefully they don't do so. Nicholas Noggle trying to hold on to Matt Grenier. You see him lose a little bit of time off of turn number 4. Those 2 Fords get a little bit of separation. That might be good for them. Tyler Johnson still holding on to the 08 of Nick Noggle. As you were looking at Chris LeBourgeois on our screen right now, might have had an incident because he's out there all alone coming out of turn number 4. We stay green, no trouble for the leaders. They're all single file right now. Nick Noggle trying to trek back in on Matt Grenier. And I got to say, before I hand it back to you, Noah, Jack Bauer charging might be something we could expect out of that number 48 machine, because the last time we went to a short track was North Wilkesboro, where Jack Bauer almost broke through for his first win in this series.
Absolutely, a lot of drivers are seeing with these short track advantages starting to appear. Drivers like Nicholas Noggle, who has been running around the mid-pack top 10 for most of the season. Again, doing it right here, but he is really starting to show his true pace as he is eyeing the top of the field. Tyler Johnson, again, holding on to that 6th spot strongly as the fight for the top 10, besides the lead, is, again, like we've seen all night long, right there every lap after lap after lap. These guys have not been able to create a gap between themselves like John Kinder has been able to do so. And it's just been entertaining to watch because they have not let off once since the start of this race. Is not able to make off of turn number 2 as Noggle again trying to do what he can. As Winners now gets a little loose coming down the back straightaway, he's going to lose that 6th position to Robertson. He'll now fall back to 7th and slide in behind that number 2.
Yeah, Brandon Robertson got gifted a position right there. Justin Winters out of turn 2, just got a little wiggly and caught the car before it crashed, thankfully for him, but lost that one single spot. I think damage control pretty good right there. You're on board with Tyler Johnson getting into turn number 1 hot and getting right up on Nicholas Noggle's tail. Out of turn number 2 this time, you can see how close these guys are racing down the backstretch. We might see Noggle dive to the bottom of the 15 car, and he pokes his nose in through turn number 3. Nick Noggle down the inside of Matt Grenier is not going to happen this time. He reserves himself to stay single file out of the corner. Oh, a lot of momentum. They might have touched out of turn 4 right there, Noah.
Nicholas Noggle all over the back bumper out of number 15 for Muzzing to make the way back down into turn number 1 and 2. Grenier going to run wide on corner entry. That might help the number 08. It will. He's going to have the run off a corner exit that he needs, and he is maybe possibly going to clear him by the end of the straightaway, and he does. So now move Nicholas Noggle up to 4th. Tyler Johnson going to pounce as well. Now move him up into the 5th spot as Grenier loses 2 spots from that mistake, and now he is falling back into the clutches of Brandon Robertson once again.
Think about this. This is something we haven't mentioned yet. This would be Matt Grenier and Brandon Robertson's home race in this season. These guys are out of New England, and respectfully, any of the New Englanders in this series would be at their home track in this race week. So this would be the type of event that you could see, oh man, I was just going to talk good about Matt Grenier trying to charge forward and get a good finish. And as I do, he got a little wiggly out of turn number 2, caught that car before any damage was done, lost the spot and momentum to the 6 car, and is going to possibly lose another one here to Brandon Robertson, maybe even 2, because Justin Winters came off like a thunderstorm out of turn number 4. Side by side with Grenier this time, that Allen's Body Shop Chevrolet. They're still side by side through 1 and 2. Brandon Robertson might hold up the 52's momentum up top. They're still side by side down the back straightaway. Great racing going on at the tail end of the top 10 right now.
Justin Winter is all over those two like a cheap suit. He is looking for whatever he can to try and get around one another. He does clear Matt Grenier now for the 7th position, and now he has the sights set on Brandon Robertson. Now looking at Alan Dobbs, who is now, we talked about it, started on the restart all the way to the back of the field. He has now climbed his way up to 10th, so keep an eye on him if he can catch up to the top end of the field once more. As again, this fight raging on. Now Robertson going to take a peek down to the bottom side of Tyler Johnson for the 5th position. He might be able to clear him. Not going to be able to do so just yet. He will fall back single file into turns 3 and 4. But again, Tyler Johnson having a lot of drivers within his mirror, and right now the 2 best within the series from both seasons are all over him right now, as Robertson possibly going to make that move here within the next couple laps. And Justin Winters, a guy who while not really a contender to go win every race, he is still a guy that you look at week in and week out as being one of the strong contenders that we talked about earlier in the race. Is just one of the best within the league has to offer. It has not been the season that he would hope for, but still, when you see that 52 car in your mirror, you kind of perk up a little bit because you got to watch out for him because he could really patch any moment. Because the guy who is arguably the best at pit strategy on any given night is really holding his own up here in the 7th spot.
One thing that I just realized is how far into this race we've been moving. We've been talking about this great racing on track. We haven't even noticed that we're within 1 pit stop length of distance to get to the end of this race. We now have less than 50 laps to go in this event. So these guys are looking at possibly only having 1 more pit stop to the end of this race if it stayed green, which at the rate we're running at with these battles on track would be kind of surprising. You see how close they're racing with each other. You can see Alan Dobbs and Matt Grenier side by side into turn number 1. Dobbs throws it in on the bottom and gets that position from Grenier, who's just dropping slowly and slowly further back into this field. Lancaster going to be the next car to take that 15th place. Goes up into P number 9, at least momentarily. Grenier drops out to 10th spot. Not going to let it go so easy. He's going to challenge on the outside. Adam Lancaster with the run off the bottom isn't going to let him have it, and they go single file that time. So Grenier's going to drop all the way to 10th, as Bryce Hunter actually is going to be trying to charge on Bauer, and he threw it in, absolutely threw it in on Matt Grenier. They made contact, and Grenier got slid up the track. That was an over-under and a bit of a slide job effort from the number 9 machine, if I've ever seen one, and he let Jack Bauer go through with him. Bryce Hunter now finally cracking into the top 10 on his own, and as I say that, contact Bauer and Hunter into each other. Yellow flags come out. Turn number 3, we got a caution.
Those two have been racing each other door to door for the last couple.
Couple guys didn't come through, so they're still scored at the top of the leaderboard, but John Kinder is the leader of the guys who came in this time. Off of that one, they stay in order from when they came in, Noah.
And you're now seeing Nick Mills actually going to opt to stay out. Ryan Smith does come in pit road this time by with a Michael Briston in tow. So now the question is going to be, what is Nick Mills going to do? Will he actually try and stay out? Because he was involved in that wreck, but you can see little to no damage done at all to that 46 Mills Insurance Agency Chevrolet as they make their way through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be a very interesting scenario if Nick Mills does stay out, because that could kind of be the most interesting factor of this race is how that's going to go, because everybody we've seen in these race starts are guys who have been close to each other on tires. We haven't really seen someone trying to stay out and make a move, especially with so many laps left in this race. So I would expect the 46 to come down pit road, but if he does choose to stay out, it could be a very, very interesting restart for everybody on behind him.
Yeah, I'd be watching John Kinder off that restart. We know he's really good, and I say really good, I mean really good on the restarts. So I'd be watching Kinder to try to make a dive through 1 and 2 and get back in front of that 46 machine. Also got to watch the other guys, Ryan Kendall, Casey Barlow. Those guys have been really fast all night long. So definitely going to be an interesting restart. As I say that, Nick Mills comes down the pit lane. You can see him just barely in the distance off of this camera, that 46 machine coming down pit road.
The field now going to double up this time by. You see the aerial shot here from beautiful new Hampshire Motor Speedway as the field now circling the way through turns 1 and 2 as we get ready for what could be the final restart of this event. John Kinder again electing to take the top side of the racetrack with Casey Barlow choosing to go down to the bottom. Ryan Kendall and Tyler Johnson going to be third and fourth with Nicholas Nagel rounding out the top 5. And the driver going to want to watch out for his restart. That's Silver number 3. He has made his way back into the top 10, and we have seen how aggressive he can be on starts and throughout this race. And with how important it is to gain as many spots as you can on these restarts, expect him to make some moves to try and get himself up into the top 5. Now making away to turns 3 and 4 once again, waiting for that Ford Mustang pace car to dive on to pit road. He will do so. And again, we're going to see if John Kinder can get another jump to get the lead, and he will. He's going to jump it going to turns number 1. Ryan Kendall not going to be able to try and pull the same move he has been on the last restart. It's now going to be Tyler Johnson's turn as he dives into turn number 1 to try and take over the second spot. He might be able to do it, but regardless, he's going to jump up a few spots up to third now.
Casey Barlow running strong on the bottom side with Tyler Johnson, trying to put pressure on and get into that second spot, get within pouncing distance of the 21, who's just been absolutely running away with this one. You saw Brandon Robertson sliding way high in 3 and 4 that time. That might open the door up for Nick Noggle. He's going to give Ryan Kendall a little bit of a race down the front straightaway. The 2 and the 68 dive into turn number 1 again. Robertson holding momentum. Alan Dobbs, look at that car flying through the first part of one and in through turn 2. Alan Dobbs on the charge. Nick Noggle trying to make some time up as well. Ryan Kendall trying to hold him back. Brandon Robertson trying to get himself up into 4th spot as well. You got 4 cars all with completely different mindsets right now about how they're trying to run these next few laps. You're looking at the side-by-side double file, 2 lanes of side-by-side racing right now into turn number 1 again. Alan Dobbs' momentum is going to carry him around Nick Noggle and forward to maybe catch up to Ryan Kendall and Brandon Robertson as those two stay side-by-side out of turn number 2.
And Justin Winter's going to slide off for turn number 2. He is sideways. We stay green as of right now, and the caution does come out for the number 52, Allen's Body Shop Chevrolet. So an incredible race, having played on hand for the number 52, slowly making his way with a quiet night in the top 10. Now in sideways on the back straightaway. He's going to fall to the very end of the field and have a very fun time trying to rebound from that. You just look at the onboard coming through turns 1 and 2, and like we've seen all night long, just these corner exits, just biting drivers left and right, and out biting one of the Bluegrass's best as he goes for a slide down the back straightaway. Keeps off the wall like most drivers have in his off of turn number 2, but a very rough way to have your night go after having such a strong run.
Yeah, that was a strong run from Winters, but I'm going to give him a lot of props for being smart and just locking it down there out of that corner. Once you notice yourself that you're not going to save that car, you have to be smart as a driver, and you have to be willing to give up on catching it and just get the car stopped before you do any more damage than you need to it, trying to save it and then ending up losing control of that car, getting back into traffic or hitting a wall or something. So props to Justin Winters for just locking him down, getting that car stopped, and being able to pull it back under his own power and control that car himself. You're on board with Grenier that time, and you can see how easily that car went out from underneath Justin Winters and how quickly he got out of the way of the rest of the cars behind him. No trouble to anybody else on the racetrack there, just a simple bit of a loose car out of turn number 2, which is very common here at New Hampshire, and obviously Justin Winters was able to get control of it again, and even though he's further back in the field, he does keep that car clean.
Yeah, that's kind of the factor when you run tracks like this. You don't really run the bottom. You run more of the middle to the high side, right up where the marbles are, kind of like how in dirt racing where you run the cushion. You're so close there, and if you can get it just right, you can get the perfect run off the corner. But if you go a little bit too high and you get right up in those marbles, it just comes out to bite you, and you'll either hit the wall trying to hold on to it or you'll spin it trying. So just a very, very close way to go about it to try and gain any spot you can here in New Hampshire. Move we haven't really seen too much drivers do is try and circle the bottom side all the way down to the bottom like we've seen actual NASCAR drivers do, where they go all the way down to the bottom and actually cut down onto the pit access road on corner exit to try and get the bite off the corner to get the run. We haven't really seen that. Most drivers have actually just been holding up on the top side, leaving that bottom wide open. We're going to see if maybe any driver wants to try and do that on the final remaining laps, as possibly Alan Dobbs might try and do that because he has now moved himself up into the 6th position. So after that little incident on the restart with John Kinder, he has now rebounded himself up into a solid 6th place position and could possibly take back that 2nd spot as well.
Absolutely, that number 3 car on the charge as you're looking off of the front of Nick Mills, who came into the pits this time, trying to get that car fixed up a little bit, maybe make it run a little bit better for him on these restarts and try to get charging to the end of this race, pick up as many points as he can. He's one of those guys trying to fight at the tail end of the playoffs run and trying to secure a spot in that. So any point he can get would be better for him, and to have that car in better shape will give him a better chance as we get closer to the end to be able to make passes and slowly get 1, 2, 3 points more and charge into the playoffs with that 46 machine.
Pace car lights off once again for the iRacing pace car at the head of the field. The field now going to double up once more. John Kinder, as always, going to take that top side. Keith Barlow again in 2nd with Tyler Johnson in 3rd, Ryan Kendall in 4th, and Brandon Robertson in 5th, as we wait for possibly another restart and see if John Kinder can again just get that jump that he has been getting.
They're getting ready down the back stretch. We want to thank our partners here at PitStop TV really quick. Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media. Thank you very much for your support of these beautiful series that we get to produce as well. The Bluegrass iRacing series always producing exciting action here on track, and New Hampshire has so far been nothing short of the same. John Kinder has been pretty much dominating this race so far. Casey Barlow has been very solid, as is Ryan Kendall, staying in the top 5 throughout the course of this one. As we go back to green, Tyler Johnson putting a lot of pressure on Casey Barlow, both in the green flag and on this restart here, as John Kinder gets a very expected good run off the top side. And as I say, Tyler Johnson kind of switched lanes there coming in through turn number 1 this time, locked up top where Alan Dobbs was, Brandon Robertson running down low. Those guys now fighting for the 4th position, as Dobbs trying to get himself back into the top 5 for the first time in a while. And as I say that, we lose Daniel Worthington off the tail. Yellow flag, back out on the racetrack.
Again, turn number 2, biting another driver once more. This time it's going to be number 113, Daniel Worthington. Actually back on a restart. Oh, he actually got a jump on Bryce Hunter, who was caught sleeping. He actually dived it all the way down to the inside. Bryce, well, he didn't actually get the pass done, so that would not be a black flag. But you see him there, is going to bite him through turns number 1 and 2. As he comes off of 2, going to make actual contact with the number 91. He spins it back down all the way to the grass, does not hit anything except the number 91 car, but that is now going to bring out yet another caution here at New Hampshire. We're going to have to see what these drivers can do on this next restart once again.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect any pit stops. I don't think anybody's going to want to be doing that at this point. We just had a yellow. They gave him a chance and nothing happened. So I think we're going to keep the same running order. Everybody's going to just reset, think about what they did on that last restart and see if they can do it a little bit better this time. Kinder's been getting really excellent restarts and jumping that line really well off the green flag. Casey Barlow has had plenty of opportunities to learn and figure out how John Kinder is getting such a good run off of the front straightaway. Maybe he'll finally figure out what he needs to do to keep the 51 car side by side with Kinder into that first turn. Would certainly be an advantage for Casey to have the inside line through 1 and 2 the first time. Ryan Kendall, Tyler Johnson, those guys have been fighting for a little while. Alan Dobbs broke himself back into the top 5. We'll see if he can charge forward again off of this next restart and get that 3 car back further to the front. Maybe be able to give John Kinder a little bit of a race for the lead at the end of this event and see if we could get a battle for the win coming to the line again.
Again, live look at your points after Atlanta coming in, where it stands right now. If Kinder does get the win, that'll add him to the list of drivers in blue who have locked away in with a win. White bracket would be the first driver in without a win, with Lancaster on behind. First position out to keep an eye on is Gary Jazorski. He is only 2 spots behind Wes Wiggin and number 88, who I do not believe is actually here tonight. So he should be able to get the jump on him. But you also keep in mind he's tied with Nicholas Nago, so Nicholas Nago might get the tiebreaker and boost himself up into maybe even the 14th position with where they run night right now with how well of a night he has. So again, just 3 races left. After this weekend, we're going to go to Watkins Glen. After that, we go to Darlington, and that will wrap up the regular season. So 2 very tough tracks within the schedule up next here in the Bluegrass iRacing series. So a lot on the line here tonight, as this is going to be the last of the big regular ovals before we have 2 very unique tracks coming up.
Yeah, and I do think that New Hampshire race is very unique for what it is as well. These 3 tracks at the end of this season, and even including Atlanta last time, they're very unique circuits, and they're all their own monsters to be tackled and to be beaten. To get victories at these 4 tracks means that you have what it takes. I mean, you're a strong driver, and you just beat the track flat up when you come out. So obviously last week was Tyler Johnson. This week, it could be John Kinder, it could be Casey Barlow, it could be that guy, Alan Dobbs, charging his way back up to the front after that little incident on the restart, all the way back with John Kinder getting into each other a little bit. They're coming around again. We're not going to be going green next time, or maybe we are. They're starting to get double filed up, or prepared at least to do so, and I think we actually might be going back to green next time, Noah.
To Phil now, gonna double it up one more time, re-rack him and restack him. A familiar sight once again. Kinder on the top side, Barlow on the bottom side with the pace car lights off as they corner off of turn number 2. Just been a very interesting race as of late with how this has gone. Just everywhere you look, there has been a fight as we now approach possibly into the last 30 laps of tonight's event. The field doubling up once again as. Again, all eyes are going to be on the number 3 of Alan Dobbs. If he can catch up to the front of the field, and if he gets another caution, oh boy, hold on tight, because that'll be a very interesting scenario with the Dobbs-Kinder front row once more. Pace car now, off of turn number 4, going to make the hard left turn back to the safety of pit road. Kinder We saw Barlow have a really good restart. Hold on to him to see if he can do it again. He does. He is not going to be caught sleeping this time, but Kender does get the momentum down the straightaway, and it looks like he might clear him. Here comes Dobbs making a 3 wide into turn number 1. He is not waiting. He got held up by Tyler Johnson in the last restart and locked him back there in the 6th spot. He is not making that same mistake again, as now he jumps himself up to the 4th spot. No, Ryan Kendall gets turned. And that's going to bring out another caution, and that's going to ruin such an amazing night that Ryan Kendall had going, as it looks like we're actually going to stay green.
Ryan Kendall just got a little love tap from Adam Lancaster there, and that's a tough break for the 68. He was doing so well all race long, just staying patient and consistent with that car. Unfortunately, a little tap will send you into that wall, an unfortunate end for Ryan Kendall's run up front. But meanwhile, we're watching up front, and this race is the most exciting it's been in a while. Casey Barlow got an awesome restart, stayed right up there with John Kinder, and stays there to this point. Tyler Johnson got a good restart. Alan Dobbs sent it, absolute maximum send from the 3-car in that first corner. Stays in 4th spot for the time being. Nick Noggle rounding out your top 5. All these guys on the charge right now, and they've got good cars underneath them. Expect some exciting racing out of these guys in the top 5.
What they need to do right now, though, is they need to get around to number 21, John Kender. You cannot let that man breathe and open up a gap, because if you do, he will run away with this. That is what we've seen out of him every single restart. This is the closest they've been within 3 laps of the restart. Usually by now, John Kender's already about out to a 4.5 second lead. As now you're going to look back at the replay for the number 68. Comes off the corner, had to back up a little bit. You saw just a little bit of contact with Lancaster, but just look at Dobbs making it 3 wide, diving. He almost tried to go around for the lead to make it 3 wide for the race lead, but just couldn't get it done, as Kendall was just trying to chase his car and not hit anybody, but instead gets hit from behind by Adam Lancaster and is sent spinning and then gets it into the inside retaining. Well, as we do have a caution, and it looks like it's going to be the number 5 of Joshua Abbey bringing out our next caution on the racetrack. Got number 5 Bucked Up Energy Chevrolet. Got to look back and see what might have caused that. As you see, it looks again, yep, just the same exact thing we've seen all night. They come up with turn number 2, and they're getting bit by that corner exit, and it is just sending drivers around left and right. Now Joshua Abbey is going to be its latest victim.
Yeah, so we're seeing the replay here, and that's the tough part about broadcasting these races, is when we take time to get a replay, obviously you run the risk of missing something, and we did so here with Joshua Abbey. As we come through turn 1, he tries to stay high to avoid contact with Justin Winters right there. You see him coming out of turn number 2, tons of speed, and just lost the tail of that car on his own. Josh Abbey didn't lock him down quick enough either, so he got into the grass and then into that wall, and you'll see him again. We're on board with Justin Winters. Watching Abbey, look at the run he gets out of the exit of turn 2, and then just nothing he could do. Loses the rear of that car, slides across the front of Justin Winters. I don't think they made a lot of contact, if any, so Justin Winters should be okay to keep going. We're on board now with Abbey. We'll get an in-car view of what happened to his run as the Texan just loses the corner and doesn't lock it down fast enough to avoid that little bit of contact right there on the inside retaining wall. Tough break for Josh. He was running up through the field, and he needs to stay consistent to guarantee himself into the playoffs. This is not the type of thing you need to do to keep that spot.
Yeah, I don't think there's any contact between the 52 and the 5, just because of how much heads-up driving Justin Winters had there. Was able to get on the brakes hard without locking them up, and was able to avoid any contact with the number 5 Bucked Up Chevrolet Camaro. He is now on pit road to try and service the damage repair. But now we're going to go ahead and re-rack him once more for the final 20 laps of this race. And after what we just saw on that restart, I don't think there's anybody else we need to watch on this restart besides Alan Dobbs. He's going to be stuck on the high side this time, so he's not going to be able to pull the dive bomb that he did on that last restart. But man, oh man, that was a costly maneuver that paid out greatly. A high risk and a high reward situation, and he capitalized on it. And now he's going to find himself lining up on the outside of row number 2, right behind the number 21 of John Kinder. So that should be interesting to watch as we get set to go back racing once again.
Well, another guy you're going to want to watch is Casey Barlow down on the inside. We saw on that last restart, he finally figured out what he had to do to stay at least side by side with Kinder down the majority of the front straightaway, which is something that nobody had done up to that point. John Kinder has just been acing these restarts. So maybe Casey Barlow's finally got it underneath him that he can give John a challenge into turn number 1, maybe even get a pass in. Don't hold me to it, because John Kinder's got a really strong number 21 machine with him tonight. But I'd be watching that 51 car, I'd be watching Tyler Johnson to make a dive maybe and try to make it 3 wide for the lead. Maybe even Nicholas Noggle could make a big move and try to get a couple positions back through the first corners after this restart.
Now down the back straightaway to go once again. An interesting scenario you want to keep an eye on too is look who's new in the top 10. Tyler Reed, who was the cause of the first caution all the way back towards the start of the race. He now finds himself within the top 10. And that Darrell Waltrip throwback at number 14. Toyota Camry back there running around the 10th spot as the pace car again now going to make their way through turns 3 and 4 once more. Another newcomer appearing within the top, well, not a newcomer, but close to the top 5 up in the front of the field. White Bracken at 33, going to watch and see what he can do. Now, off of turn number 4, pace car to make the hard left turn on the pit road. Let's see, you see that red line on the wall? That is where they're going to go, and the green flag is going to wave. John Kinder going to stomp that loud pedal. He will clear Casey Barlow this time by as they run it off into turn number 1, and now he's going to have to try and run away from number 3 of Alan Dobbs, who possibly could get second this time by if he circles his corner perfectly.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that Kinder did not help himself with was he allowed Dobbs, they're getting a little squirrely back there, I think they're all clean. He allowed Dobbs to get a good restart behind him by having such a good run, and that let the 3 car get around Tyler Johnson, who's not giving up just yet. You see the Valvoline car on the bottom side of the number 3. That is Tyler Johnson trying to hold on to the last podium position. Nick Noggle in behind these two, watching them get close as can be through the corner, and look at Noggle getting up there all of a sudden. He drove it into that corner long, and as Tyler Johnson wiggled a little bit off of exit, he still holds on to those two. Watch Noggle to maybe make some moves here soon. We're getting really close to that bumper on the 08's nose cam here through 3 and 4. Not going to challenge this time, but maybe get a good run off the corner, a little bit of a slide. That's going to hinder some momentum. Nicholas Noggle going to have to hold on to 5th momentarily.
The field now starting to single file their way once more, and look at that. Kender now sitting in the fastest lap of the race this late in the run, as now Noggle going to try and take a peek down on the bottom side. They might go side by side. Johnson gets squirrely off of turn number 2. They will now definitely go door to door into turn number 3, and now Noggle is possibly going to clear him on the corner exit. He's going to pull the slide jump and take over that 5th position. Dobbs, or 4th position, I should say. Dobbs now cleanly up into the 3rd spot, having his eyes set on Casey Barlow, as now we're closing in on that 10 to go mark, 15 left, however, to be exact, as now you see Nathan Maurer, a guy we haven't talked about too much tonight. He is now finding himself up there in the 7th spot, potential 6 on the line, but could also fall back to 8th as Adam Lancaster going to make the dive down to turn number 3 to take over that spot, but they're going to go wheel to wheel throughout turns 3 and 4.
I was going to say, we hadn't talked about that Pennsylvanian in the Simbox Chevy at all, but he was racing with Wyatt Brackett for position. Did lose that spot and then lost it to Lancaster, and now I think Tyler Reed is going to be able to take advantage of the 97 car as well. Sends it into that corner pretty deep, and he does get control of it before contact is made. Bauer's going to give him a little bit of a challenge on the top side. Jack Bauer starting to show his nose, could be a factor in this situation. Reed stays low. You got the Ally Chevy on the top right behind Nathan Maurer. We're on board now with Jack Bauer through the corners. This is probably the best race on track at the moment. You see how close Tyler Reed and Jack Bauer are now to each other, as Maurer seems to have recovered pretty well. Justin Winters now shoving himself into this equation too, on the outside of Tyler Reed, trying to make that spot up.
The fight for the top 10 spot raging on as Winters is going to clear him off of turn number 2 and take over that 10th place position. Now eyes set on Jack Bauer, as here comes Robertson with the dive into turns 3 and 4. They're going to go side by side off of the final corner down the front straightaway once again, as Matt Grenier as well trying to move his way back up to the top 10. So a lot of new faces have came up into the top 10, but that's thanks to the fact of how many drivers are back here. A lot of the guys we've seen run up in the top 10, even top 5, are now finding their way back into the top 10. So a very interesting scenario for a lot of these drivers as they make their way off of turn number 2. Winters is going to be able to clear Bauer for the 9th position, so now he's safely within the top 10, setting his eyes now on Nathan Maurer, as Robertson still trying to take over that 10th spot from Bauer.
Fighting all mixed up in this group right here, Nathan Maurer and Justin Winters side by side down the front straightaway. That is the fight for 8th position on the racetrack. You look at Justin Winters on the inside. He's going to try to clear the 97 this time. I think he might be able to do it off the bottom. Bauer getting on. Then we got Robertson, Matt Grenier, Tyler Reed, and even CJ Mason starting to hold on to the tail of this group. So this is a whole slew of cars right now going side by side again. Robertson to the bottom of Jack Bauer. In behind as Justin Winters is finally going to get that full clearance. Oh, I think Tyler Reed hit the wall there out of turn number 4. More behind these guys, but they're still shaking it up really well with Robertson down low. CJ Mason now beside Tyler Reed, and I think that was contact for the 14.
Now coming over to turn number 2 as we get ready to approach 10 to go here at New Hampshire as Reed gets loose, and that's going to cause a stack up on behind him, and Ryan Kendall's going to get involved in that, and that is going to bring out another caution, and Kendall's night goes from bad to even worse as he's going to fall back to the rear end again as he made contact with the 38 David Brackett. We're going to see the replay on what caused that.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a stack up and a shake up with these guys side by side through the corners. You can only run so close for so long before something inevitably is going to go haywire. Ryan Kendall inside David Brackett, Nick Mills and Scott Fritz side by side behind them. They come out of turn number 2, and Tyler Reed got it a little bit wrong. David Brackett was a little cautionary, I think. Came down the track to try to avoid that 14 car checking up so much in front of him. And unfortunately, Ryan Kendall was already there. Nothing that Kendall could have done at that point. Well, actually, he might have gotten loose on his own, too, behind Tyler Reed. But Nick Mills got caught up in that one. LeBourgeois, a little bit of evasive action. Bryce Hunter and Ryan Smith also threaded a needle to avoid any contact in this one. We were on board with Nick Mills. Unfortunately, the 46 car caught up in another incident that he really couldn't do anything about.
Yeah, it looked like David Brackett, again, just much like we've seen throughout most of the night, just getting bit by the outside of turn number 2 and getting loose. This time, though, is going to take a victim along with him of Ryan Kendall. Could also have been a fact of trying to expect maybe what happened to Tyler Reed, trying to avoid that, but instead just causes calamity down the back straightaway, and that just takes what the night that Ryan Kendall already had going from good to bad to even worse. He's going to fall further back to the field once again as we're going to go set it up for a restart one more time on board Bryce Hunter, who just stuck the throttle and found the hole and went right through it and avoided all of that. He now finds himself up into the 16th spot as we get set to go green flag once again. And, you know, I was talking about it while they were doing that green flag run. If they get a caution, this is going to be very interesting because now Alan Dobbs, we saw go 3 wide for the 3rd spot a couple restarts ago, now finds himself on the inside, now with the potential to go 3 wide for the race lead, as now we're under 10 to go. So this is around the point now where I would assume the gloves are going to come off. We're going to see some really aggressive driving to take place to try and take away this win.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is going to be a telltale restart. These guys are going to be charging forward, and maybe not the front 2 rows are going to be as aggressive, but you go a couple rows back, and those guys maybe in the outskirts of the top 10 are going to start really pushing forward, try to get in a better position at the end of this race. Certainly going to be one to watch at the tail of that one, and also at the front end, too, to see if anybody can eclipse the speed and the control that John Kinder has had over this race so far.
Again, the aerial shot here within the rolling mountains and hillsides of the New England area here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway as we get set for another restart. Kinder more than likely again just going to take the top side like he has all night. Has no reason not to. Casey Barlow going to line it up in 2nd. Alan Dobb is a rebound up to 3rd. He's going to be the one to watch on this restart with Nicholas Nagel back there in the 4th position. And Tyler Johnson again holding on strongly to that 5th spot as we're going to go green now with about 8 or 9 laps to go here at New Hampshire. The pace car lights do go out. Kinder is going to take the top side, and Barlow will assume his position on the inside.
We go double file right here. John Kinder gets set up for a restart. He's practiced many times so far tonight. Casey Barlow going to see if he can make anything out of the position he's got. Alan Dobbs might make a big move on the inside of the corner. We've seen him do that before. Nick Nagel stalking in 4th spot, finally getting a little bit of action at the front end of the field. Might be able to take a few more. Tyler Johnson, the last car in the top 5, has been strong all night. Wyatt Brackett to his outside, coming up to the front. Maybe going to try to get a few more before this race ends. They come into turn 3 this time, Noah. They're getting ready, and the anticipation is building and building and building for these guys to possibly get this final restart. Maybe could see another one if something happens here, but these guys are going to want to race it clean and race it out as they come out of turn 4 and get ready to go.
Pace car now once again making the turn to safety at pit road. Kinder going to get the jump on that restart. Green flag back in the air. Dobbs not going to be able to make the dive bomb he wants into the corner. He did not get the run that he wants, and instead going to go 3 wide for possibly the second position, as Nago going to try and circle around the top side to take over second from Casey Barlow. Instead, probably going to take third away from Alan Dobbs, who slots in behind for fourth. Here comes Wyatt Bracker going to make the dive bomb and Tyler Johnson for that 5th place position, as they make the ray off of turn number 4 once again, as Alan Dobbs now had to be very careful with those 2 jars behind him, as the field again jockeying for position, as we are under caution once again.
And that is Justin Winters stopped in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Justin was starting to get it together in the midst of the ending stages of this race and try to charge back up through the field. You're seeing the replay of him driving down the backstretch into the corner. I don't even know what happened right there for the number 52 machine. It looked like he didn't even try to stop that car. I wonder if there was some sort of issue, technically speaking, for the 52 going into turn number 3.
Yeah, that is a very interesting scenario. I don't even know what to make of that. It's just a very interesting scenario, as he gets stuck up there in the turns 3 and 4 wall, as he is still stopped up there. I gotta wonder if maybe a tire went down, which I would assume is not the case, because it's really hard to really blow a tire in this sim. But still, that is just a very interesting scenario that is going to take the number 52 out of contention here tonight. You just look on the nose cam and just goes straight into the turn 3 wall and brings out another caution here tonight.
Yeah, so that was going to be a hardware failure, we believe, that the system that Justin Winters is running on unfortunately had some sort of unresponsive moment as he was heading into turn 3, and you saw it on your screen. I mean, no brakes. I don't know what Tyler Johnson was doing down there. Went into the grass on this pace lap here under caution. You saw that on your screen. I'm not sure what that was about, but nonetheless, I think everything's still situation normal. Yeah, that's a tough break for Justin. I mean, you run the whole race, you get right to the end, everything's going clean and smooth and fine for you, and then at the very end of the race, some sort of issue that's completely out of your control sends you right into the wall. That's gut-wrenching and heartbreaking for that number 52 and all of the people watching him running this race right now. Unfortunate stuff for Justin Winters. We'll just have to try to rebound next week, I guess, because there's not much more you can do with so few laps left in this event. As we tick them off continuously, we're coming to the restart here slowly but surely. We should be able to get a green-white checkered in and see if these guys could give us some exciting racing to possibly finish here soon.
Looking down in the chat, we see Huffy Huffman, who is very close to number 52 of Justin Winters, commenting. Apparently he's been having Oculus issues as of late, and they might have disconnected and the screen might have went black, which could explain a lot. Apparently it also could have been a wheel issue. He has now just commented that his computer froze. So again, like you said, a hardware failure, but not like the steering wheel of what we thought. Just the entire PC froze and just went straight headline into the turn 3 wall. So just a very, very disappointing situation for that number 52 machine, as that's going to end his night up in the top 10, as now we have to wait to see what he might be able to rebound from that, if he is still on the track at all, depending if his PC has came back or not. As the pace car light is going to go back out once again, the field's going to double up. Alan Dobbs now missed the opportunity to go 3 wide and probably take that lead. He has now lost any chance of being able to do that now, as he's going to be lined up in 4th alongside Nicholas Nagel on this restart.
Yeah, I think it's game over for Justin Winters tonight. What a tough break and a hard way to end the event, getting so far into it. But we come stalking down the back straight away. We'll have 2 laps at the line, or 3 laps at the line, as John Kinder and Casey Barlow line up in front. We'll see if Kinder does what he's been doing all night long once more, getting a great restart. Casey Barlow might anticipate this one well. They're really getting close to each other down in the entrance of turn 3 right there, but those two are in a call together. Those two are teammates at the front of the field, so they're going to be talking and making sure they don't mess each other up here before we even get back to the restart. Closing in on the final stages of this race, Casey Barlow on the inside, John Kinder leading the way at the front. We'll wait for him to hit that throttle, and off we go. Green flag comes back out. Bluegrass guys racing here at New Hampshire into turn number 1. John Kinder has some pressure on the inside, but he's going to get that run through the first corner.
John Kender again going to clear him to turns 1 and 2, as now Casey Barlow going to slot there in a second. Alan Dobbs trying to clear for third, unable to do so. It looks like he might be able to do it that time by. And again, it looks like caution comes out. This time might be again for the 113 Daniel Worthington possibly. You saw back there, I believe that was, I'm trying to remember the name of the number 91, who you saw spinning down on the bottom side of the racetrack. So a very interesting scenario here. 13 Brian Terry just very slow on that start.
Yeah, Terry was slow on that restart. Worthington got into something here with Joshua Abbey. You can see those two cars making a lot of contact up at the top end of the turn 2. Ryan Smith had a completely unique incident sliding down to the grass in the exit of turn 2. So Smith and Mills were kind of close going into turn number 1, and then Mills slid up to where Worthington was in turn 2. Contact between the 46 and the 113 unfortunately collected Joshua Abbey. And then at the tail end of that, we saw the 91 car sliding off into the grass. And we're on board with Joshua Abbey. You can absolutely see the 46 and 113 make contact in front of him. Nothing the Texan could do to avoid that. And then Ryan Smith, you see him sliding down there on his own. Tough night for Joshua Abbey. He was tracking very well, trying to get positions, trying to get points to continue on in the race to make the playoffs. And this is not going to help him at all.
Well, yesterday the groundhog did in fact see his shadow declaring 6 more weeks of winter. I gotta believe he might have also saw a tow truck while looking around as well, because these wreckers are starting to flex their muscles a bit with how many cautions we're seeing as of late, which is not what we want to see, but still, this is going to line up a very interesting restart because Alan Dobbs, another shot to possibly go for this lead on this next start. He now is back up into the 3rd spot, so we'll have a shot to make that move like we were waiting to see if he was able to do. Wasn't able to do so because Casey Barlow, but now is in a prime spot to do once again what could be the final restart. Is now we're officially in the Bluegrass iRacing overtime here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, so the last time we came through, it was a purebred green-white checker, that being that we didn't extend the race at all to make a 2-lap sprint to the finish. But this time, not the same case. We're going to have a green-white checkered attempt here for these guys. John Kinder, Casey Barlow going to be continuing to lead us, as they have for the last handful of restarts, to the green flag when we get them racked up and stacked up for the restart. You see them coming through turns 1 and 2. We'll take a quick second and just thank some of our partners here quickly before we set them loose. Again, these would be the partners with the Bluegrass iRacing Series. This series is very exciting. We appreciate the support that Rims 1, Wheels, Tires, and Accessories have been giving to this series, both last season and this season, and also to Milner Media and Design for coming on board and helping these guys out with the series this season. We'll quickly thank our own partners here at PitStop TV, Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You put a Bluetooth speaker in a beautifully framed photograph. Absolutely a beautiful and awesome idea. Definitely check out that website. Be sure to use our promo code PitStopTV to get 10% off your order. Race Pace, going to give you your own chances to be at the front in your respective iRacing events. You can get custom-made and beautifully fabricated setups to help you progress your iRacing runs and championships at that page. Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, giving you the best options to give your looks a little bit of an upgrade up there in Maine. Ashley Bullier will get you set up. Be sure to check out their Facebook page. And Whiplash Media, giving us all these awesome camera shots and social media management, things that you can get yourself by just checking out whiplash-media.com and seeing what services apply to you there. But Noah, we're getting ready for this green-white checkered. It's going to be John Kidder and Casey Barlow leading us back after 3 and 4 this time. Hopefully we get the green, white, and checkered and can see who we can crown as the winner here at New Hampshire tonight.
Now coming off of turn number 4, once again the pace car going to make the hard left turn back down to the entrance of pit road. Got to watch and see if Kender can in fact get another jump on the field. Green flag back in the air. Barlow does catch him this time. They're going to go side by side. This is the closest they have been all night long, and it looks like Casey Barlow might actually clear him into turn number 1 and peek ahead. They are still side by side, and Barlow is actually going to bring the fight with him off of turn number 2. As here comes Alan Dobbs, possibly to make a move, as he is right alongside him, and they're going to go 3 wide for the race lead down into turn number 3.
Watch Barlow on the inside. Contact made with Dobbs, and he slides up into Kinder. Dobbs sliding onto the bottom. Okay, they're 4 wide in the middle of 3 and 4. Noggle in the middle. Oh, contact, and there's cars all over the place. It's going to be a carnage fest on the front stretch. Yellow flags out. Who was that flying through the air? Absolute send down the front stretch. But let's talk about John Kinder, because he ran that whole race up front and unfortunately got caught up in a slew of sliding cars out of turn number 4. We definitely need a replay here.
Oh my god, there's so much to unpack from that besides the cars just flying in the middle of the screen. We were wondering if this was going to happen, if those two made contact, and they did just a tad bit, and we were wondering what could take Alan Dobbs and John Kinder out of this race. That right there just did it, and you gotta feel for John Kinder. He had this race won. Everything was lined up perfectly for him, but now look at this, just absolute melee down the front straightaway as just very hard contact as Scott Fritz going for one of the wildest rides I have ever seen in this league as he goes pirouetting down the front straightaway after getting launched over the flag stand. I think that might be right there. We're talking with a lot of our producers on what could be the certified oof moment and trying to bring that back. I think that right there might have won it, because that is one of the most interesting things I've ever seen out of this league.
So we're on board with this car. Grenier slides up back in front of him, and then, yeah, we're just sent into the sky there on board the one car. But obviously the snap-on number 15 just sliding up in front of Scott Fritz, nothing he could do about that car coming up in front of him. I just feel so bad for Tyler Johnson, Alan Dobbs, and John Kinder. Those guys have been up front for so long. Oh, actually, a little bit of help from behind. Tyler Reed gave Scott Fritz the baseball swing that sent him on a home run down the front stretch as the other guys were wrecking on the front stretch. But yeah, like I was saying, I cannot put into words how sad that is to see. John Kinder just absolutely ran an awesome race, had the lead easy, no trouble behind him. And then this, and I don't know if I can even put any blame on anybody for this situation. Barlow got down the inside and took that lead fair and square off of John Kinder through 3 and 4. You'll see the 51 on the left side of your screen here in a brief second. So there's Casey Barlow making that pass cleanly, and Kinder's all the way up the racetrack, losing it a little bit, tried to catch that car from underneath him, and unfortunately there were other cars in the way, and just brought a whole slew of them involved in this one.
Just a very rough situation for a lot of drivers, and again, just heartbreak for number 21 of John Kinder, who had everything going for him. We talked about it on that restart. That was the closest these drivers have been all night long to each other to possibly go for a lead change on a restart, and they tried pouncing on it. Alan Dobbs had the run he needed off of turn number 2. He made it 3 wide. You can't blame him for doing that. It's a little bit of a risky move, but with 2 to go, again, gloves come off. You need to do something to try and take this race lead away, and sadly that right there is what's going to do it, and that just takes out a whole slew of contenders out of contention to win this race. If you look down the running order, out of the entire top 10, we only have 2 chances of a repeat winner. Casey Barlow actually, interestingly, is going to elect the bottom side. This is the first time a leader has elected the bottom side all race, and we are actually going to extend the yellow. We did go 1 to green, but they're going to delay at yellow. But Casey Barlow now going to be on point for this restart. Wyatt Brackett going to land on his outside. Adam Lancaster possibly going to be able to be the redemption for the team and hold the flag instead of John Kinder in victory lane. Able to get a win at Talladega last season, late in the season. Maybe he can do so tonight and his way into the postseason. As again, the field going to double up once again, and it's going to be a very interesting restart because all the drivers that we saw run up there in the front of the field is now towards the rear. The only driver able to survive any of that would be Alan Dobbs in number 3, who somehow is able to hold on to 4th, besides getting train wrecked along the front stretch.
I want to bring in Huffy Huffman in the YouTube chat because he mentioned a question. Is there a sponsor for the biggest yeet of the race? And I got to tell you, Huffy, I wish there was, because we'd know who to give it to tonight. Definitely Scott Fritz being sent airborne down the front stretch. A good comment down there. I appreciate that one thoroughly in the YouTube chat. Keep it up down there, guys. We appreciate all of you guys coming out and watching these races week in, week out, supporting your favorite drivers and teams here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series. They're stacked up again, ready to go. Hopefully we can get through these 2 laps without sending anybody to the moon and maybe be able to crown ourselves a winner here at New Hampshire tonight with the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Just 2 more races after this before the playoffs start. So crunch time for points, crunch time for victories. we'll see if anybody's going to take advantage of that here in just 2 turns when we get the green flag.
Yeah, I was talking about game stonks going to the moon the past couple of weeks. How about Scott Fritz? We're going to talk to some airline companies to even get a takeoff of the race award going here in the next few races. Pace car now going to dive it back down on the pit road for what could be the final time. Casey Barlow now going to hold on to the restart. Green flag back in the air. Barlow gets the jump that he needs, much like the way John Kinnard was doing all night. He jumps out to a safe distance into turn number 1. White Bracker can hold on, and there's a wrecking again on behind. That is Gary Jaworski, who I saw go around. We do stay green off of turn number 2. Matt Grenier is actually still on pit road, interestingly enough, and there's wrecking down the back straightaway. Cars spinning everywhere. That is the number 91 again, going around of Ryan Smith. He's going to loop it back around and join the field, but again, another caution as we've gone 10 laps over the overtime. As again, a caution going to come out, and we're going to see what caused this one.
You see Joshua Abbey down on the inside. He was involved in this incident, so we're watching that 5 car. There's the 91 of Ryan Smith just outside CJ Mason. Kinder and Brisson went up on their own behind that, but Worthington was the one who lost control of that car all on his own. He collects a couple guys around him. You see Ryan Smith was one who got pretty significant damage out of that incident, as did Joshua Abbey and a couple others. I think aside from that, everybody should have been clean back there, but that's just a tough break for these guys. I mean, you trudge through this race at the tail end of the field. You get involved in incidents throughout it. You see Gary Jaworski up front. Noah had mentioned the contact that sent the 18 car not around, but sideways in the entry at turn 1. Bryce Hunter was involved with that. And then this one's on Worthington, just losing it on his own there. Getting involved with a couple guys. John Kinder actually got some pretty significant damage off of that one, too. Tough break for the 113, tough break for the 5, tough break for the 21. Just hard to see at the very end of this race.
You saw Daniel Worthington as he had towed it back to the pits. He has opted to jump out of the number 113 and call it a night. John Kender, though, you saw on the onboard for Ryan Smith. He was able to weave his way through that, actually make contact with Michael Brisson. That might have been a saving grace right there with that move. Oh, he actually does make contact with Daniel Worthington. So just like you thought it couldn't get worse, it does in fact get worse for him as he is now in 20th position. Possibly again, the nose ripped off, depending how much damage he got repaired for that. And again, just those are 2 drivers who had a very good night going for him. Michael Brisson, who started all the way up in the 9th position, now all the way back in 21st. And John Kendrick's on the pole, dominated his race, is now all the way back in 20th. And then Tyler Johns, he sees a lot of modified cars running around here at the back of the field, who are running up at the front. And that is just shows you the melee at the end of this race has been, which is what we talked about. Drivers, when they come here, this is not their favorite track just because of how challenging it is. But for fans, this is everything you could have wanted and more, because this has just been so exciting to watch. And we're going to have another restart to have another go-around here, as now Alan Dodd is going to be in the 3rd spot to possibly make another move to try and win this race.
Yeah, I think Dobbs is just benefiting every time off of these restarts here. And I'm wondering if Brisson's thankful for what happened with Kinder in the midst of 1 and 2 there. You had seen the contact between those 2 cars, and Brisson was sideways and basically stopped on the outside of turn number 2 when that whole incident occurred, right where he was on track going into it. So maybe Brisson got a lucky break by getting involved in that minor incident with Kinder before the loose nut of spinning and crashing cars on the track would have probably engulfed him in the accident as well. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Alan Dobbs is lurking right now. I think anybody out there, if you had to guess who's going to send it, it's going to be the number 3 of Alan Dobbs. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder back this week after missing last week, is ready to go and get around these 2 cars in front of him. Casey Barlow, Wyatt Brackett, going to be leading the field back around. Next time by is going to be the green flag. We'll take another attempt at a green-white checkered and get these guys to the checkered flag and finish this race off for you guys here on PitStop TV, and see who gets the victory, who gets the crown, and who gets the extra points as we move towards the playoffs.
Another interesting fact to bring up, we talked about Ryan Kendall, who was taken out in a wreck off of turn number 2 a while back when we were still within the regular race distance. He has actually, due to all the wrecks, has rebounded up to 8th. So I guess another man's trash race, he has been able to rebound into a very, very strong 8th place position after all the carnage that has ensued here within the last few laps. Pace car again going to make that dive on a pit road. Casey Barlow and Wyatt Brackett going to lead it back to the green flag as he hit the restart zone. Casey Barlow goes to get the jump. Alan Dobbs is going to follow suit as they're going to go side by side for second, but Barlow is going to have the restart he wants going down to the turn number 1. Dobbs going to make the send onto the inside of Wyatt. They're going to go door to door for second place off of turn number 2, and they're going to make the run down the back straightaway.
Brackett got nowhere near a good restart. Look at Lancaster sliding like crazy. He got that car underneath him. They all check up, though. I think we got a yellow flag back on the racetrack. I am so surprised by that number 28 machine. I don't know how he saved that. I really don't know how he saved that, but the yellows come back out again. I think Brackett was lurking. I think Wyatt Brackett had a restart out of turn number 2 at least that would have helped him get moving forward. So there's contact right there between Brisson and Johnson. That's what brings out this yellow. The Valvoline number 6 is backwards in the middle of 1 and 2, and that's what's going to cause us to go yet another green-white attempt and try to get this race finished off.
Again, just a lot of drivers in the back who are involved in incidents that are running up in the front. A lot of modifieds back there are going to get involved. Michael Brisson again not really causing, but involved in another incident, this time with the number 6 of Tyler Johnson, and that will bring us back to another restart. As now we're going to be 20 laps over within these green-white checkers, as Casey Barlow again going to have an opportunity to try and get the jump on the restart, as Wyatt Brackett is lucky enough to hold on to that position with how much Alan Dobbs was lurking to take over that second spot. You talk about Adam Lancaster, who had to wheel that thing down the back straightaway to avoid wrecking. He actually was able to hold on to the 4th spot for this restart, so he loses nothing out of that entire incident. So we stay neutral for about most of the field. The only position change I really see is Ryan Kendall, who now promotes himself from 8th to 7th on this next restart.
Yeah, I'm just surprised for Adam Lancaster that he held on to that. He probably should have lost spots there, but the yellow saved him from losing them. He was in 4th, and we'll get to trek back up there on this yellow. And yeah, you're right. No, I mean, for the most part, it's been pretty stationary. I'm looking at Nathan Maurer, though. I didn't really catch that the 97 slowly moved up into the top 10. And you look actually further into the top 10, you see names like Jack Bauer, Nick Mills, Tyler Reed. Those guys have been kind of having ups and downs of their own throughout this race. I know Nick Mills has been involved in a few yellow flags, none of his fault. Tyler Reed was the one who brought out the first yellow of the race, and they're slowly just cycling through and coming back up to the front end of this field. So it's starting to get things shooken up a little bit, and these are the drivers who need points to secure their spots in the playoffs. So this is really good for them to be coming back up through and getting into higher positions and getting more points.
Absolutely. They're going to try and capitalize on all the incidents that have gone around here so far. A lot of drivers are going to be able to have a very good night if they can hold on to where they are. Check this out. Gary Jaworski is now up to 12th. Bryce Hunter's up to 11th. Tyler Reed in 10th. Nick Mills in 9th. Jack Bauer holding strongly to 8th. Kendall, again, we talked about rounding up to 7th. CJ Mason up to 14th. Chris LaBourgeois up to 13th. So a lot of drivers who are running back out the top 15 are now within a position to have a very, very strong into this race that could really promote themselves into a shot at making the top 16. Because again, with these 2 next races coming up, Watkins Glen and Darlington, it is going to be very, very challenging to see which of these drivers are going to be able to capitalize and take a possible shot at making the top 16 for the playoffs within a few weeks. So tonight could be a very pivotal moment for this championship fight. As again, the pace car lights came off once again, as Barlow still electing to hold the bottom side, as Wyatt will take over the top and Alan Dobbs will reassume the spot in 3rd on behind.
We're going to watch to see if Wyatt Brackett can get a little bit better restart than he did last time. Kind of caught sleeping. He did end up making the high side work through turns 1 and 2, so maybe that will be an advantage that Wyatt Brackett's going to have in his side pocket ready to go when needed. They come through 3 and 4 getting ready to go. Again, I'm sure these guys are getting a little antsy behind the wheel, getting ready to just put those 2 laps in and get to the finish of this race. You're looking at Casey Barlow on the inside, Wyatt Brackett to his outside. Row 2's got Dobbs and Lancaster. Then it's Robertson, Maurer, and others behind. Ryan Kendall in the picture now, too, as the green flag's back out. Barlow with an absolute killer jump on that one, and he sends Dobbs up into second momentarily as Brackett's going to try to fight back on the outside.
Casey Barlow with the jump on the start. Alan Dobbs going to slide up, and they're going to make contact over turn number 2. Dobbs is going to clear him in white. Brackett's going to get sent around. He's going to take Robertson with him, and it's going to cause a parking lot on the back straightaway as everyone tries to avoid him, and that's going to bring out yet another green-white checkered attempt, as now Wyatt Brackett going to be shoved all the way to the rear of the field after being in a prime spot to have a top 5 finish.
I feel for Wyatt Brackett right now. I mean, he didn't get a really great restart here. We're watching the onboard as they get the green flag. You see Barlow on the inside is going to just take off like a rocket ship on the inside line. Dobbs gets up in there, too, with a really good restart on his own. And then Brackett's stuck on the outside, which he's had that happen before. No problem. To the top. Actually got lucky. He didn't get a little bit of love in the tail from Adam Lancaster, and then just on his own lost it on the top side. There was contact between him and Dobbs, but I don't think that's what caused the spin. I think it was just a little bit antsy on the throttle and lost control of that rear.
Yeah, just a very missed opportune moment to make contact off of turn number 2, and Robertson nowhere to go. Clobbers into the driver's side door of that number 33 Chevrolet, and after having such an incredible night, another driver is going to get bit by the turn 2 bug that we've seen every driver just about have an issue with. And, you know, not too much damage was done to the number 33. You saw the 5 Joshua Abbey have to dive all the way down almost to the grass to avoid that as he tried to clear through that. So, you know, not too much harm done to a lot of drivers, but that is just a really gut-wrenching blow. Another one for a driver who is running so well up high within the top 5, now losing all of it due to just the factor of a late race restart.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to mention this really quick. I believe this is coming off of our social media man, Mr. Corey Rexford, keeping track of the timing and scoring. Alan Dobbs apparently got a penalty off of that restart. Not quite sure what the cause was for that, but the number 3 car penalized pretty intensely here as we were getting ready to come to another green-white checkered attempt. Not quite sure what's going on with this. And we'll see if we get any more word on it. But for the moment, that's going to move Adam Lancaster up to the top of the scoreboard with Nathan Maurer lurking in second and Brandon Robertson, Jack Bauer making up row number 2. So these guys are definitely cycling up through. Now we've got the 28 car up front.
A very interesting scenario being played out now as Alan Dobbs is no longer going to be able to finish this race, as Adam Lancaster is now going to be in the race lead. Nathan Maurer going to be in second. Brandon Robertson back in third. Jack Bauer now going to assume fourth, and Ryan Kendall in fifth. So a very interesting scenario because Casey Barlow is no longer with us either. So some very interesting things going on here in the goings late in this race, and that is going to have a major effect. Although there's Casey Barlow all the way in the back. He is now all the way back there outside the top 10. So I'd be very interested to see maybe he pitted on that last caution. I would not assume so, but we're maybe have to try and get an update on that as we go along, as now the pace car lights should be going off at this time by Lancaster, now in a prime spot to get redemption for his teammate and punch his way into the playoff. Nathan Maurer as well. Nathan Maurer looking for his first one of the season to punch himself in the playoff as well. The only repeat winner we have within the top 10 now is that number 2 of Brandon Robertson. He hasn't been able to do much to get the lead, but you got to watch out for him because he could easily take this one home and win it and get his third win of the Bluegrass iRacing series. You see the field now doubled up for what could be an exciting last restart.
This is Brandon Robertson's home track. He'd love to get the victory here, but keep in mind everybody else in the top 10 has yet to win this season, especially looking at those 2 front cars, Adam Lancaster, Nathan Maurer. These guys are trying their hardest to get as many points as possible and try to confirm a spot and secure a spot in the playoffs. This is where it could happen. Watch the guys like Bauer, Hunter, Kendall, those guys in behind. Lancaster leads us off. Green flag's back in the air. Great jump off the inside line for the 28 machine. Charging into turn number 1. Robertson's going to try to get second from Nathan Maurer. Bauer's going to charge on as well, but they're side by side out of turn number 2. Lancaster still leading the way.
Lancaster now off of turn number 2. He's going to make the run down the back straight towards turns 3 and 4. They still hold on cleanly, holding on for the battle for second. Robertson trying to make the move around Nathan Maurer. Not going to be able to do this off of turn number 4 as Jack Bauer holds on to fourth. White flag going to come out into the air this time. Next flag ends the race as Lancaster still runs away with it. Reed, hard contact on the inside wall. We stay green as we have reached the white flag. So no matter what, we're going to run this thing out to the end. Now Lancaster down the back straightaway for the final time. Maurer gets a little bit of a hiccup off of turn number 2 as they are all over the place down the back straightaway trying to hold on to it as Maurer might be out of fuel as he now falls back. Lancaster coming out of turn number 4. He is going to redeem for John Kinder and he's going to punch his way into the playoff. Adam Lancaster is going to win it here in New Hampshire as Brandon Robinson is going to take second. And how about Jack Bauer? No, Ryan Kendall is going to take over the third spot. So an incredible redemption at number 68. Now he takes over third.
Ryan Kendall stole that podium out of the hands of Jack Bauer right there. Great run from him. But how about this guy, Adam Lancaster, finally breaking through again. He has won in this series before, but this has got to feel good. Punching your ticket into the playoffs with a victory here at New Hampshire. Adam Lancaster finally breaks through in this season. A little bit of love from his teammate down below. You saw the little love tap on the inside as Adam Lancaster rounds turn 4 for the final time. We went a good couple extra laps over the scheduled race distance, but to Adam Lancaster, it's all worthwhile. Number 28 going to burn it down on the front straightaway in that Ford Mustang. A great race to the line. Congratulations, Adam.
I would say this is honestly a really cool moment to see because Adam Lancaster has not been a driver and contender to go win many races as of late. He has really been stuck running out around the top, fighting for a top 10 spot, and to now capitalize not only to win it for his team and for his teammate John Kinder, who had this race locked up, was involved in a wreck that took him out of contention of whatsoever winning this race, to capitalize on that and win it and still bring the trophy back home to his team. That is a moment that you would love to see. And now Adam Lancaster is going to be safely within the championship fight as now we get set for the final 2 races of the season, and we will try to get away with him here shortly in a bit. We're going to take a quick break here on the Bluegrass iRacing series. Do not go anywhere here. You are watching PitStop TV. We'll be back with our post-race interview. Stay tuned.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with the speaker is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
welcome back, race fans, to your live post-race coverage of the Bluegrass iRacing Series here live at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Adam Lancaster, your winner here tonight for the first time this season. We're going to bring him in here to get our winner with a new first-time winner this season. Adam Lancaster, you're able to capitalize on a very rough situation for your teammate and bring the checkered flag back home for your team. How does that feel to be able to punch your ticket in the playoffs, and not only that, but redeem it for your team?
Man, wow, it gives a whole new meaning to I'd rather be lucky than good. What a race that was. I was telling John and Casey to go get it and get after it, and I didn't really feel like I had anything for those guys. And the race kind of fell in my lap a little bit, and Casey had fuel issues there at the end, and he was about to run out of fuel, and I had about a gallon more than he did, so if we'd have kept going like we were going, I was going to be in trouble. But man, I'm just super pumped up that it all worked out. It's been a very, very rough season for me, and we had some mishaps last week, and had to start in the back this week, and so from the back to the front, if I was a bet man, I wouldn't have put money on it, but glad we're here.
And with how long this race went in the overtime, like you said, it brought up a lot of fuel issues to possibly get it to the end. On top of that, just trying to avoid all of these wrecks, how was the name of the game trying to just survive this entire finish of the race?
Well, you just said it. That's the word all night, is survive. And starting from the back, that was my mindset. The entire race was just try to keep the tires under it and keep the fenders on it, and survive, and kind of see where we wound up at the end, and go race from there. So, the way the race played out, I really, the first half of the race was fairly clean, and really didn't see the end of the race turning out like that, but it did. And when opportunity's right there in front of you, you run hard and try to go out and get it.
And now with your ticket officially punched into the postseason, you have 2 races now to capitalize to try and strengthen your odds to win this championship, with tracks like Watkins Glen and Darlington remaining. What is your game plan now for the next few weeks to try and set yourself up strongly for the next postseason?
Well, you got to get playoff points, and that's the name of the game at this point. Most of the guys in the upper tier of the points are pretty well locked in to make the playoffs. Now everybody's just fighting for playoff points, so we can get off to a good start in the playoffs. I think Watkins Glen and Darlington are some pretty decent tracks for me. I was pretty good at Road America had it not been for the pit road issue with the 2. So we would have had a strong finish there, and Darlington, I'll have to beat my teammate for sure. John's really good there, but I feel like we got good speed at both those racetracks, and we'll go run hard and try to do it again.
And before I let you go here to enjoy your first win of the season, who do you have to thank for your run here tonight, and who do you have to thank for what could be coming up here in the next few races?
Well, Ghostface Brewing, obviously, and Rims 1, PitStop TV, Bluegrass iRacing Series for everything you guys do. As always, huge thanks go out to John Kinder, Casey, and Justin Winters is jumped on with our group as well. We've all been working really well together. So, without them, I wouldn't be half the driver I am right now. So big thanks to those guys.
All right, well, congratulations on your first win of the season. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we will see you next week out at Watkins Glen.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, that's going to do it for your race winner, and I'm going to hand it over to Joe Donahue, who should have our second place, Brandon Robertson.
Yep, I've got Brandon Robertson here. Brandon, this is Joe Donahue with PitStop TV. Do you got a copy?
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, and I'm sure you are too. Second place, not a bad performance at the end of the race here at your home turf.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how that all unfolded. When we pit, I don't know, lap 130, 120, it was kind of a Hail Mary. We were running 5th or 6th, and I didn't think I was going to win from there. Needed to do something, and Winters and I went in, and I think we restarted like 20th or 25th, and it probably was a bad move. It was a lot of stress coming up through, and we kind of stopped moving forward at around 10th, and then the last 20 laps turned into the last 50 laps, and we ended up second. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it must have been quite a scenario to have to think through what to do with all of those late race cautions. I mean, what was the name of the game? Was it just patience? Was it preservation? What were you thinking going through all of that?
I just didn't want to take too much. I knew that there was a lot of that going on, and it's just too easy in New Hampshire to kind of run it along the inside of somebody, and you think you have it made, and then you get out of the corner coming out, and all of a sudden the outside car gets a run, you get frustrated, and that's just pretty much how this track is. I mean, it's a very difficult track. I'm about half an hour from there, so it's definitely a home track for me. I've been to a lot of races here, and I've raced a lot of races in different games, so it's I'm happy that I finished second.
Certainly gives you a little bit of home field advantage, I could assume. So I want to take you back a little further in the race too. I want to see about your strategy before all the yellow started unfolding. You had a really good car and you kept it clean, which is something that a lot of other guys didn't quite do. It seemed like your battle was just to keep the car out of trouble and run as best as you could with the guys around you and get to the end.
Yeah, you just simply had to wait until somebody made a mistake. I mean, it was so hard to pass somebody even up if nobody was making a mistake and they held the top. There was no getting by unless they, slipped up on exit and you were able to get at least even up on them. But other than that, I mean, you were kind of on your own.
Yeah, it seems like that type of race, but you go forward now, so we'll look at the schedule before we hit the playoffs. You got Watkins Glen and Darlington, two very unique racing facilities and two very unique races themselves. What does it take preparation-wise and mentally speaking, and what are your outlooks on those two events getting ready for the playoffs to actually start?
Well, I told you guys earlier I wanted to win at a road course, so I'm running out of time there. Watkins Glen, I have that one circled with the Dale Earnhardt throwback from the Daytona race in 2001, and so that's going to be a priority. Darlington, I don't know. I don't really have that track figured out, but John's going to be, I'm sure, burning up the track next two races. He certainly was dominant today. I feel real bad. I mean, that he had another issue, but yeah, it's going to be a tough battle to get another win in these last two here.
Well, you were lucky to secure your spot into the playoffs earlier on, if that needed to be, but we're certainly excited to see what you bring out at Watkins Glen and Darlington. We're going to let you go tonight to celebrate your second place finish, but before we do, we're going to give you center stage and let you thank or say anything you want here on the broadcast on PitStop TV before we set you free.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Obviously, congrats to Adam. He did a heck of a job there at the very end, fending everybody off. And thanks to Team New England, Dave, Wyatt, Matt, and Eric for watching. I'm going to throw him into Team New England as well because he seems to watch every race. So see you guys in New York.
Absolutely. We'll be looking forward to talking to you there. Congratulations on your run tonight, Brandon.
Thanks, Joe.
And with that is your second place finisher, Brandon Robertson. I'm going to hand the microphone back over to my good buddy, Noah Carmichael. He's going to take us through an interview with somebody we haven't talked to a lot before. Your third place finisher tonight is the number 68 driver. That's Ryan Kendall.
Well, Ryan, you had arguably the most roller coaster night of anybody. You're running up there in the top five. You fell all the way back to the rear end, and then capitalizing on a lot of mistakes made up in the front, you bring it home into a third place finish. Just take us through how this night has been for you.
Yeah, this race has been almost undescribable. This was something else here. Ran top four the whole race. I was feeling good, and then just got caught up on a little bit of a cluster on a restart. Spun out, had to go to the back, got caught up in some more trouble, and at that point I was just going to ride around and take what I could get. But luckily, a lot of guys got real aggressive there at the end, started making mistakes, and I was able to just keep it clean and pick my way forward. And that third place finish is about the best I could ask for coming out of that race with how it was going there at the end.
Well, you're able to take home now a third-place finish, which is a strong run for you in the points as you look to make your way into the Bluegrass iRacing postseason. What do you have to say now is the game plan for the rest of the season as now you look into the final two races to try and strengthen your hold up there in the top half of this field?
Yeah, I mean, tonight was really good for points. Got stage points, ended up with a third. That's a really good night for us points-wise. It should put me in really good position to make the playoffs. So my goal is Watkins Glen is not a very strong track for me. So next week, just going to survive and get as many points as I can. Really look to capitalize going into the playoffs here.
All right, now as you now celebrate a third place finish here tonight, who do you have to thank for your run, and who do you have to thank going forward into the future as you get set for your first playoff appearance?
Yeah, got to thank Danger Nation Clothing. They've really supported me in all my racing, iRacing, and real-life racing. Go check them out. They got a website, some great clothing. And Bluegrass and everybody for putting this series on. You know, it's a ton of fun. PitStop TV has done some great coverage, so I appreciate all you guys.
All right, well, congratulations on a strong third-place finish, and hopefully we can see more out of you next week at Watkins Glen in the near future.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for covering us.
All right, and that's going to wrap up our post-race interviews here for the Bluegrass iRacing series. We want to quickly run through the finishing results here for tonight's action. Once again, congratulations to Adam Lancaster on capitalizing and winning his first race of the season. Brandon Robinson going to bring it home in second. Ryan Kendall going to bring rebound to a strong third place finish. Jack Bauer taking home a fourth place in tonight's action. Nicholas Dongle is able to hold on to fifth. CJ Mason with an impressive sixth place finish. Seventh is going to go to Bryce Hunter. Then there's Chris LaBourgeois in the 83. He takes home 8. How about Tyler Johnson, who was involved in that melee wreck on the front straightaway? He brings it home in 9th, and in running out of after having to pit and surrender the win to make it to the end, Casey Barlow is going to round out your top 10.
Great runs for those guys to jump back up into the top 10. We roll back to 11th place as John Kinder. He put the afterburners on. He tried his best to get back up there. 11th place going to end out his night. Tough break for him. Nick Mills going to come home 12th. I'd say that's a relatively good finish for him. Scott Fritz, 13th spot. That car was airborne, and it finished 13th. That's pretty good for Scott Fritz. 14th place going to be that 91 car of Ryan Smith. And rounding out your top 15 is number 18, Gary Jaworski. Joshua Abbey, the Texan, in 16th, and Tyler Reed will come 17th. 18th place on the final order. The last car on the lead lap is the 71 of Michael Brisson. Then we've got Nathan Maurer, one lap down in 19th. And rounding out your top 20 tonight is that 13 car of Brian Terry.
Looking outside the top 20 is going to be the number 33 of Wyatt Brackett. Lining up behind him is going to be the number 22 of Alan Dobbs. On behind him is going to be the number 113 of Daniel Worthington. 24th is going to be Mac Panier. 25th going to be home to David Brackett at 38. Justin Winter is going to retire back there in the 26th position. Ronnie Shirk Jr. left early after his spin on the front straightaway in 27th, and Dylan Butler is going to finish this race in the P28, rounding out your 28 car field. With that being said, we want to give one last thank you to our incredible partners here for both the Bluegrass iRacing Series and PitStop TV. Again, a shout out to Rims One Wheels, Tires, and Accessories, a long-time support of the series, as well as Milner Media and Designs. And then also want to give a shout out to our very own partners, support the guys who support us. Go check out these guys. Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we will create a custom, beautiful, high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information, and be sure to use the promo code PitStopTV at checkout and receive 10% off your purchase. I also want to give a shout out to Race Pace. Ever wished you could have a race engineer on speed dial? Well, now you can. Thanks to Race Pace, a driver development service and setup shop all in one. Work with Tyler, a real world race engineer, to set up your game before your next race. Pick up pace with Race Pace. Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine at permanentmakeupandmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine a call today to book a consultation. Also want to give a shout out to Whiplash Media, PitStop TV's new parent organization. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more. And with that being said, that just about wraps it up here. An incredible night of action here for the Bluegrass iRacing Series show. Went a little bit over the distance, but we got an incredible finish out of it. What are your final thoughts to wrap up this night?
Well, I thought the racing was really great. A long way through the event, we had racing side by side, 4 position and passing going on for long green flag stints. I thought that was really awesome. And then obviously we had a couple yellows at the end of the race that ended up shaping up one of the most exciting green white checkers I've seen in a while. It was really cool to see Adam Lancaster finally break through and get that win this season. I know that number 28 car's had some ups and downs this season. All these guys come out week in, week out trying to do their best. And a lot of props to him and to the rest of the top 3, Brandon Robertson, and especially Ryan Kendall breaking up in there at the end of that race and stealing that spot. It's been a fun time. New Hampshire is a very interesting and unique facility when these guys come out, and obviously it makes very unique racing. Not that, this is a pretty good predecessor to the final stages of the regular season, giving these guys a chance to go out and make the most out of a unique facility, to try to get into the playoffs, try to make wins, get points for moving forward.
Absolutely. I couldn't say any better myself. And with that, that is going to conclude our coverage tonight of the Bluegrass iRacing Series at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to tune in back in on Friday for the LTAC Cup Series at Sonoma, and then be sure to come back Monday for the BRP iRacing Series and the Pacific Challenge GT3 Series. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/PitStopTV or on Twitter at PitStopTV_. Be sure to follow us on Twitch as well as twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV and on YouTube just by simply searching PitStop TV. For all of PitStop TV, Joe Donahue with me on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth behind the scenes, Corey Rexford on social media, and I'm Noah Carmichael. Thank you, and we will see you next time.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.